her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, for a personal loan, car damages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Codio scenario.
Thank you. Ms. Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Codia, is that
Correct. Miss.
Codia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Codia have been lifelong friends, according
Yes.
to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Codia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship.
No.
And Mr. Codia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend.
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together.
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight
Yes.
with Miss Serrano, and that was around June of this year.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home, and she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, currently.
Okay. So you just living, and she left.
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but
What would you say?
it was more like I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those
No,
situations.
look over here. Look over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Mr. Codia, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yeah.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay with you?
Yes, it would be fair.
Had you ever invited her to come and stay with you before?
No, I have not. Not in the current apartment that I'm staying in right now, no.
Had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before.
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't,
Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household.
And?
And that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused,
Okay, so he wanted you to stay.
Yes, he wanted me to stay, but,
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take
Correct.
care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said don't go, you left.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed.
If you
Just-
want, yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, to move into the apartment.
Yes.
You know that that was nasty, right?
Oh, no, yes, I know.
You know that that was
but
nasty.
That was an agreement between them.
No.
And,
But you know that that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I
yes,
just want you to know what you're
got you.
sort of dealing with.
Yes,
you
no,
know.
I'm fully aware of what I'm
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Codia, in order to sort of get even a little bit, you invite Miss Garrett to come and move in. No rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story.
Oh, Lord.
Such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, there's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay. And between the time you left
Yes.
and July 1st,
Yes.
when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes, I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah.
With the baby.
Well, first of all, you're pregnant and you
Yes.
have emotions, and then you're taking care of family members and whatever. And so I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June.
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay. And what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
I'm
See
sorry.
what's happening, Tim? This fly is getting vengeance
Crazy.
on
That's
me.
getting on me too.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too. Wow.
I'm waiting for it to
You're waiting.
come over here.
Yes.
Nashira Garrett claims her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I
Well,
want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was, I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So,
Between the time you moved out?
yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it a cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you want to put it.
Yes, he...
Don't forget.
This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Codia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Codia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You jumped in and offered to give him $750. That's what you wrote here. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Mr. Codia, did you tell Miss Serrano that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, will still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes, everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes, and if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning, I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for too, while I'm staying there.
Okay.
So it
So you
wasn't
were
an
actually there
exchange.
for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5, 6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We had went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
So
and I
you were
went-
out, so you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year
No,
and a half.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out. You hadn't been staying in the
Oh,
apartment.
no, yeah, I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first time you had been back to the
No,
apartment?
I've-
Since you left?
Since I left, I've been there on and off. Like, not on and off, but like every other couple days. But I've been there, not living there, but I've been there spending the night and, you know.
Have you ever, when you were there, have you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and
Yes.
you've been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't
Who said
even
what?
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know still to this day.
Okay. So now, Miss Garrett, they came home, and
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night and previously.
no, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? You said multiple people in the house.
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go
What
sleep?
date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah,
Before the 7th.
right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park.
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on July 2nd or 3rd, Miss Serrano was around, and they don't get along,
They do not.
which is exactly what you anticipated
Of course.
when you invited her to stay with you.
Sadly.
Absolutely right. Going to have two women fight over the prize, the grand
Right.
prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I
Did
did
you?
not.
Did you? I didn't ask you with a loan.
Yes, she
I
did.
didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes, she-
Yeah, okay.
she did.
So let's not play. Did you take $750 from
Yes,
her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites someone, a woman, to come into the house because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Kodia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
This person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walk in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's gonna have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk, because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-sized bed up in the living room. In the living room. So I went out to my car. I said, Michael, when you get home, I'm in my car, so meet me in my car when you get off. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking, and...
Was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head, and I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What? Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
Okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes. There you go.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch
Yes.
across your chest. Mm-hmm. And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
There was I want you to
physical.
start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car. Mm-hmm. Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh, yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get
I
there?
parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there.
Exactly,
You parked
yes, I
the car. Now let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Did Mr. Codia ever give you an indication that Miss Garrett was no longer going to be living there?
Not that I could recall, no.
Well, I want you to
was
try to
told
recall.
I was told after that whole day went, the day after, that the conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay. And what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left a charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you are.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance
Crazy.
on him.
That's getting on me too.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too. Wow.
I'm waiting for it to
waiting.
come over here. Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Cody, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why, and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation, they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see,
Yes. There you go.
this one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before. I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies, both of whom care about you in different ways, you put them, well, do you care about him?
Yes.
You think she cares about him?
I've never, the entire time I was with
They
him,
just know each other for a long time.
it was way before me, so I guess if you would have put it like that.
And they also went to
Just
senior
a second.
prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm
listen
sorry,
to me.
Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Ms. Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I knew it would cause havoc, but
Different women every night,
I try to keep it in secret.
and that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
He's gonna be a father to my child, man.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea.
For car damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2092, North versus Olson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. North, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat? Because you actually weren't involved nor a witness to the incident. Are you the owner of the car?
No, ma'am.
Okay, why don't you have a seat? Tell me your first name.
Bella.
Bella. Bella, from what I gather from reading the papers, you and the defendant's daughter were good friends.
Yes, still are.
And have been friends for a very long time. So, not a very difficult case. You were going to visit Miss Olson's daughter, Lotus.
Yep.
And according to you, you've done that innumerable times in the past. You were also 17 at the time?
Yes.
You went to visit Lotus, I'm trying to find the date in your complaint, on April 16th of 2022.
Yes.
And when you got to the house, which you had done many, many times before, according to you, you parked behind the defendant's car.
Yes, I did.
Was the defendant in her car at the time you parked your car?
I did not see the car on when I pulled up behind it. I turned around for a moment to gather my things, to my backpack, my charger, everything. I then look up and I see the car is on. I never saw anyone. You
never saw anyone get in the car?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, could you tell me what kind of car were you driving?
A 2001 Honda Accord.
So a very small car?
Yes, sedan.
And you were in a large car, Miss Olson? Your car is a large car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Suburban.
Now, can you tell me why you parked behind her car? If you parked behind her car, you were blocking her in.
Yes. So I parked behind her car because Lotus has told me in the past.
You can't tell me anything that Lotus told you.
Okay. I parked behind her car so that the driveway to my left was free for people to come in and out, because I am aware that she does have residents in her home, and I was...
But that means that she couldn't get her car out if you were parked right behind her.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is there parking on the street, Mrs. Olson?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see that? No, I don't want to. Thank you.
May I describe what is in the photo?
Well, I'm just asking you, is there on-street parking here or not?
It's not laid out, but you're allowed to park on the street. We have also additional parking next door at the neighbors. They've invited us to park.
No, you can't tell me that they invited you.
Sorry.
I'm just asking whether Miss North could have parked someplace else. And the answer is she could have. It was more convenient to park behind your Suburban. Now, as you turned around to gather your backpack, according to your complaint, you felt something hit your car, your 21-year-old car, right?
Yes.
Would you look up 2001 Honda? Where did you get the car from?
I got it from a small dealership in my town, Sarasota.
Who purchased it?
I did.
For how much?
$3,000.
Okay. And you felt something hit your car?
Yes.
And then you looked up, according to what I read, and you saw the backup lights on.
Yes, I looked up, saw the reverse lights on, waited, saw the car back up into me, hit my car, I honk, the car stops. The car then continues to reverse again, hitting my car. I honk, they stop. I then turn back on my car. I reverse away so she can get out, and then she proceeds to leave.
Okay. And show me what the damage was to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
The Kelly Blue Book value is $2,500 to $3,500, so right in the range.
Great. What is this? A picture of?
The 2 scratches and the dent.
Let me see the whole car.
I do not have a picture of my whole car.
Well, that's unfortunate. I see a scratch. I don't know if it's a scratch. I see some.
There's a hole towards the corner of the light that was not there before. My whole light is.
You mean this?
Mm-hmm. Yep. See where there's a gap in the light is supposed to be collided with the bumper, and it's not. Mm-hmm. It was hit and damaged.
Okay. Did you see her car when you came out?
No, Your Honor.
She didn't see you, so you were in the car, I assume, when she pulled up behind you. Do you understand? So she was in her car, in her driveway, when you pulled up in your car and blocked her car in. If you had seen her in the car, would you have parked behind her?
No.
So you didn't look to see whether she was in her car?
No.
And she was in her car, and her car is high. You look up, you have a big Suburban. You don't expect anybody to be stupid enough to park behind your car. You're in your car already, because clearly she didn't see you pull up because she was in her car, right? Now I'm going to ask you, because you say you don't remember hitting something or you weren't sure you hit anything. Is that your answer that I'm getting?
When my other daughter drove up, parked the vehicle, left it running, ran inside the house, I ran out and, of course, checked behind me and drove out.
No, I asked you a question. You didn't?
I did not hit anything.
Well, you don't remember hitting anything.
Correct, Your Honor.
Yeah, because I don't think Miss North would have made up this story. You had a big car, backed out, and you drove away. Did you see her car pull off when you backed out?
No, Your Honor.
You did not?
No, Your Honor.
When she pulled out, did she go in the same direction as you did or the opposite direction?
The same direction.
Okay. Did you see her car after you pulled out?
No, Your Honor. Not until 2 hours later when we met.
Tell me what happened 2 hours later.
After returning from my appointment, I met Bella at the next door neighbors where we parked, and that's when we examined each other's vehicles.
Well, did she call you? How did you find out that there was an accusation that you would hit her car?
Because we met at the designating parking spots that we've agreed to park at.
So there was just serendipitous that you met there at the same time, or had you been in communication, either with her or your daughter?
I was at a brief appointment, and when I returned home, that's where I parked. And Bella also parked there because that is where we
Okay,
parked.
so when you moved your car after the defendant, according to you, hit your car, did you park in another spot?
Yes.
Did you park in the neighbor's spot?
I did.
Okay, so that would indicate to me that you were aware that you were supposed to, or could, if there were other cars in it, park in the neighbor's spot, because otherwise I wouldn't park in a neighbor's house. So you were aware you could park there.
I'm never sure when the neighbors are home or not, and I don't feel comfortable parking at a neighbor's
But you
house.
did park in the neighbor's spot after this happened on April 16th. You did not pull back into Miss Olson's driveway. You pulled into the neighbor's spot.
I did.
And then you went into the house to visit Lotus, right?
Yes.
Now, Lotus didn't witness this, I assume?
No.
When you met in the neighbor's spot, did you show Miss Olson the damage?
I did. We didn't meet there. We met outside of her house as I was leaving Lotus's house and she was going in. I confronted her about it, and then...
Tell me what you said when you say you confronted her. Tell me what you said to her. That's the question.
I said, "Are you aware that you hit something earlier? That was my car. Do you want to go check it out?"
Is that the conversation that you had with her outside?
No, Your Honor.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir.
"17-year-old Bella North and her mother, Angela North, claim business owner Heather Olson owes for car damage.
Okay, tell me what you said when you say you confronted her.
Heather knew that she...
Don't tell me what she knew. Tell me what you said to her. That's the question.
I said, "Are you aware that you hit something earlier? That was my car. Do you want to go check it out?"
And she said?
Yes, of course.
And?
And then she did. She said, "Okay, the damage will probably be at least $600. And then she told me to go to an auto body shop, which I did. And she told me to get an estimate, which I did. And that was that.
Okay. Is that the conversation that you had with her outside?
No, Your Honor.
Tell me your version of the conversation that you had with her. Will you acknowledge that you met her?
Yes, when Bella and I met outside, she came at me accusing me of hitting her vehicle. Sorry.
Tell me what she said to you and you said to her.
She did say that I hit her vehicle and asked me to look at her vehicle damage. Immediately, I agreed to go look at both vehicles. And we looked at both vehicles. We both took photos of both vehicles. There was minor damage all the way around her vehicle, and I could not see any damage on mine. And I could not understand.
Just a second.
Yes.
Did you look at her vehicle?
No.
At that time? Why not?
We never looked at her vehicle. We only looked at mine.
Well, she drove in her vehicle.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you look at her vehicle?
It was about my vehicle. We were concerned with my damage.
It was your damage, but you were contributorily negligent.
I understand that, yeah.
Well, you'd understand that, so you'd want to look at her vehicle, too. Did you ever have a conversation with her and say to her, take her to a body shop?
Yes, Your Honor, that is true.
Okay.
I said, go ahead and see if they can find any damage that could have been caused by an accident like that, because I didn't believe it, and I didn't remember ever hitting her, and I thought it would be more like $200. Bella did come back with an invoice for $600 or $700, and then that was shocking to me because I couldn't believe that there was any damage just from that. So it turned out that the body work she was going to have done was basically her entire bumper and both headlights, which seems like a lot.
Which is not the damage that, even assuming arguendo that you caused, she only showed me a picture of one headlight. Can I see the estimate that you have?
Do you want all three or just the one that she...
What do you want to tell me, Lotus?
I was a witness to that conversation.
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Stand up, move over. Are you living at home?
No longer.
When did you move out?
I would say the second week of June.
Did you have a fight with your mother about this event?
No, I did not want to get involved.
Great. Okay, tell me exactly what you heard your mother say.
She said, "This is my auto parts place, and if you go there, I will pay for those damages."
Okay, do you remember that conversation?
Basically, that's correct, that I said, go to this bodywork person that I know, because I thought he'd see that's silly and turn her away.
But your daughter was making a statement. Is that the statement? Go to my body shop and I'll take care of it.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Can I see the receipt that makes it? Have a seat, please. This says customer pays $0, insurance pays $7.95. In my historical brain of information, an estimate from a body shop when they believe insurance is going to pay for it is always a little bit inflated. Did you have your car fixed?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. You agreed to pay for the damage. That's what you agreed to. I will tell you, if you had not agreed to pay for the damage, I would find the plaintiff 50% responsible for this accident. She was as negligent as you were in hitting her car, and I do believe that you hit her car. So absent an agreement by you to pay for the damage, I would actually split this between the two of you and find the plaintiff 50% contributorily negligent. But since you agreed to pay for the damage and you acknowledge you agreed to pay for the damage, I must rely on this bill, which is $795. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Thank
Court
you.
is adjourned.
I don't think it caused too much friction as we were never that close.
Still in shock.
Obviously, I'm still close with her daughter, so it hasn't caused too much friction.
I agreed with your judgment to give the plaintiff a little bit of money, but I'm not so sure on the contributory negligence reasoning. I agree that parking behind someone's vehicle is never ideal, but if you're going to operate a motor vehicle, you have to check your surroundings. I think that people have to be more careful when they're driving.
People have to be vigilant, but, you know, just because there's an accident doesn't mean it has to be always someone's fault.
Sure.
That's why they invented the doctrine of contributory negligence. I actually think it was just lazy of the plaintiff to park in a spot. She wasn't paying attention to her surroundings because she didn't see the defendant in her car. The defendant ran into her car, didn't see the little car behind. I believe that they were equally responsible. But for the agreement that the defendant made, I would not have awarded her the whole thing. I would have awarded her 50%.
Seemed like just a case of blind spots and bad timing.
Yeah, that's true.
His brother, Randall Rubin, for unpaid expenses from their mother's funeral.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Good morning, Judge. Case number 2011, Rubin versus Rubin.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Rubin, this is your brother.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And this case involves sharing expenses for your mother's funeral.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your brother, who I believe was living with your mother at the time she died,
Right.
agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses when he received proceeds from a small life insurance policy that your mother had left.
Yes, Judge. Our mother only left us a $5,000 life insurance policy.
That's what the case is about.
Right.
Your brother's position is it's not his responsibility. He made no such promise. Of course, you do understand that without that promise to pay for your mother's funeral expenses, children aren't normally responsible for the expenses of their parent. You understand that?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Rubin, when did your mother pass away?
She passed away August 20th of 2021.
How old was she?
She was 86.
And how long had you been living with your mother?
Your Honor, I took care of my mother since 1991.
Well, if you were taking care of her for almost 30 years, sir, what kind of physical malady did she have when she was in her 50s?
She suffered from chronic kidney failure.
When did that medical condition develop?
Pretty close to 91.
What is pretty close to 91?
Beginning in the 90s, 91, 92, etc.
So when you moved in with her, was your mother sick or was she not sick?
She was sick.
Did you live with your mother because it was not only good for your mother, but because it was good for you? That's
Correct.
what I'm trying to get
Yes.
to. The answer is yes.
Yes,
and you moved into your mother's house
Correct.
that she owned or rented?
She was purchasing it through a mortgage.
She owned her home.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Was she working in the 90s?
She was.
Therefore, she wasn't incapacitated to the extent that you needed full-time care.
At the beginning, no, ma'am.
When you moved in with her, she was employed on a full-time basis,
Correct.
sufficient enough to get a mortgage from a bank based upon her income.
Correct.
And what were you doing in 1991?
I worked.
For whom?
Associates.
For how long?
Off and on from 91 till about 2 years ago.
What does off and on mean?
I had several jobs in between. I sold cars for various car dealerships, and I also owned several businesses.
When you lived with your mother, who paid the mortgage?
My mother did.
Did you pay your mother for any expenses? Rent, gas, electric, phone, anything? Or did you live there and you had an agreement? You lived there, she wanted your company, whatever it was. She lived alone?
At the time, yes.
In 1991, she was just living alone.
Correct.
And I assumed, therefore, happy to have your company.
Correct.
I assume. Okay. So you made no payments to your mother?
With the occasional help with some utilities or food, yes.
Okay. So you were able, I assume, to save a substantial amount of money?
Correct.
Just for my own information, so that I can sort of put this thing together.
Sure.
You have stocks, bonds, savings?
No, ma'am.
What do you have? You were able to save a lot of money. How did you invest it?
I invested in several businesses, which one is my liquidation company.
What happened with your mother's house?
When she passed, I was still residing at the house. I paid the mortgage by myself for the months of September 2021 as well as October 2021. And I remained there until, I want to say, February 2022. My sister is the executor of the estate, and she sold it just recently for $465,000.
Okay. So what I'm gathering from you, you paid the mortgage, you say, in September and October, then you stopped paying the mortgage November, December, January, and February.
That is correct, ma'am.
But you lived in the house?
I did.
Rent-free, because you paid nothing?
Correct.
Where are you living now?
I live in Nogales, Mexico.
And you live in a house, you live in
an apartment, ma'am.
You pay rent?
I do.
Anybody live with you?
No, ma'am.
What's your rent?
$250.
Okay. And what was the mortgage payment in your mother's house?
I paid $1,750 even.
Are you the sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you stand up for a second? I'm just getting some information. Tell me your name.
Shannon Hayes.
Ms. Hayes, house was sold recently for $465,000. And what was left on the mortgage?
$258,000 plus a $35,000 third mortgage.
Your Honor, since her brother was not paying, since he wasn't paying, the house actually went into foreclosure, and so we had to get...
Just to say, I didn't ask you anything.
Okay, I'll just...
Sarah Rose, 465 less 258.
207,000, Your Honor.
Less 35.
172.
Okay, and there are 3 siblings?
And also, Your Honor, there was a $10,000 lien on the property that had to be paid.
So we're down to 162.
Correct.
So it's 162 clear, so a little over $50,000 a person.
She owed the IRS, Your Honor, for back payments in excess of $54,000. She hadn't paid taxes in years.
Did you pay the IRS?
I just did.
And how much did you pay the IRS?
$54,188.
Sarah, from 162, take out $54,000.
$108,000.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. She had Arizona state taxes, $3,000 I paid as well.
105. Is that 105 net?
So we also have the medical bills that I had to take care of.
She had no insurance, and she had to have Medicare.
She did, Your Honor. That's her copayment.
Okay, and what was her copayment?
$3,000 in medical.
Let's do a simple $100,000. How much were the funeral expenses?
$2,434.73.
Was the total funeral expense?
Yes.
Well, that's what you're claiming he owes you.
That's his share of the...
I want to know what the entire funeral cost, sir. You'll show me the invoice.
Sure. I do have all the invoices for you. The first one, Your Honor, is just for the cremation.
1058.
Correct.
Okay. 1058.
The next one should be from the cemetery.
This is the total funeral home charges, and this is cremated remains internment of $2,200.
Correct. The next invoice you should have, Your Honor, is from services provided by a rabbi.
Okay, that was $600.
Your Honor, it was actually $700. I paid the rabbi $100 as an honorarium.
No, that's $600. Whatever you want to pay him as an honorarium, that's fine. So the total expenses are $3,858.
You should have another invoice for a proposal for a headstone as well.
1717.
Yes, Your Honor.
$3,858 plus $1,717.
$5,575.
That's it. Okay. I assume your mother died without a will.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you are the only surviving siblings?
Yes, Your Honor.
The estate will be divided into 3 parts.
Correct.
So each one of you will get about $33,000 from the estate after all of the expenses have been paid.
There's also the real estate commission fees that we didn't mention to subtract from the net income.
And what were the real estate commission fees?
$30,000.
Oh, yeah, that's a substantial amount.
Yes, Your Honor.
So 108 less 30, $78,000. So now you're down to $25,000 each.
That's correct, Your Honor.
What I'm trying to figure out is, even giving you all those expenses that you paid, your mother's estate, absent this $5,000 life insurance policy that there was, correct? And you got a share of that life insurance policy. How much? Yes, the answer is yes. How much did you receive?
$2,500 even.
Okay, $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get a share of that life insurance policy?
No, Your Honor.
Did you?
Yes, Your Honor. I also received $2,500.
Great. And the estate had net, after everything, at least $75,000 divided by 3, which is $25,000 apiece after you pay all expenses, which in this case would have been funeral expenses. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren. 10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. She didn't see me at least once a month. She better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
John Rubin. He's suing his brother, Randall Rubin, for unpaid funeral expenses. Randall is countersuing, claiming Sean defamed him.
So now, if what you're asking me, Mr. Rubin, is to find that you had an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of the funeral expenses because the two of you each paid 1/3 of the funeral expenses. Is that what you did?
Well, Your Honor,
that's either a yes or a no.
It is a no. I'm the only one that had the money to process our mother. He would not even sign to get her processed to continue the cremation. I have evidence here I'd like to submit to you where he agreed to pay me half of it out of his life insurance.
Okay, that's all.
I have text from him.
Just a second. I'm going to take a look at it. You have to understand, Mr. Rubin,
Yes.
that at this point, if I find that he agreed to pay for half, then you understand that you agreed to pay for half of her funeral. Ordinarily, the funeral expenses, you may front the money for those funeral expenses, but if the deceased had sufficient money in their estate to cover their last expenses, and those would be medical expenses, which you paid out of the estate, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Taxes, which you paid out of the estate.
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid out of the estate after you sold the house, broker's fees. State tax fees, along with those kinds of fees, would be funeral expenses. Now, if the two of you agreed, or the two brothers agreed, which is what you're saying, that he agreed to pay half, not 1/3, but he agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses for which you are not being reimbursed by the estate. Do you understand?
Correct. I have not received anything from the estate, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, this would be you. I'll let you know tomorrow. I think it's $2,200 for Menorah Gardens, and cremation was $1,053, so it's $1,626 each. That would be you, right?
Yes.
Okay, 1,626, because you asked him how much you owed, right?
I did.
So I assume since you asked him how much you owed, you had some sort of an arrangement with him to pay 1/3, because it does say 1/3 of the funeral expenses.
That is correct.
Okay, great.
I do want to interject, Your Honor, and let you know that when I did receive my monies, the $2,500 from her life insurance, we had communicated with one another that I had some emergency dental work that needed to be done. It was life-threatening. And therefore, he said, I don't have the email because I had to block him. I have a restraining order against him. So I lost all my emails between us.
Listen,
However,
nobody ever has their emails here
I
or a video.
A very substantial amount of those monies went for my dental.
I don't care. How old are you?
59, ma'am.
You have lived rent-free for 30 years. And according to you, you had businesses. You worked most of that time, either selling cars or on and off for a company for 30 years. You made an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of your mother's funeral expenses. And as far as I'm concerned, if you had dental problems, pay for it from the resources of one of your businesses, because you had no expenses. You have very little sympathy for you. You lived in the house for months without paying the mortgage. That's outrageous. That's taking money away from them. Do you understand that?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
say you lived in the house for 3 months rent-free, at least 3 months rent-free. So if you paid mortgage payments for 2 months, I would say to you, sounds pretty reasonable to me. You know, there's a story that's created.
Correct.
And what's created here is there's unequivocal information in these text messages that you and your brother and sister, because you, sir, are claiming that he owes half. He doesn't owe half. That was never the agreement, according to what you gave me. According to what you gave me, and in your own hand, you say this is what you owe me, $1,600, not $2,600.
Well, Your Honor, if I can explain, the reason why I said half is only me and my brother were included in the life insurance policy. My sister was not named on it, and it was only for $5,000. So,
sir, listen carefully to me.
I mean, if we put our money together, we could have paid for it.
Listen carefully to me. That has nothing to do with you.
Exactly. The same with his dental has
proceeds of
nothing
your
to do with
mother's
me.
final resting should have come out of the estate. That way, it would have been borne equally between the 3 people who will profit from the estate. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Very good. So if you understand that, the math is simple. If he pays 1/3, you get your sister to kick in whatever she's getting back from the $25,000, and everybody is equal.
Well, Your Honor, I mean, you're already getting the vibe that this guy's the biggest bum who lived off his mother, sponged off of his mother.
Let me explain something to you. That is unnecessary here. Unnecessary and really quite stupid. Stupid. You handed me evidence, sir, that you made an agreement with him. He asked you what he owed. You told him.
Yes.
$1,600. That's what you told him, that he owes you, $1,600.
That's correct.
And each of you are getting a certain amount of money for nothing from your mother. I'm going to ask you some questions. Prior to her death, when was the last time you saw her? When was the last time you saw your mother? Month and year?
I honestly do not recall, Your Honor.
Okay, just a second. Was it in the decade that she died?
Yes.
Okay, well, she died in 2021. So when did you see her?
Probably several years before that, Your Honor.
Well, so you didn't see her in the decade before?
Your Honor, you have to understand, her house was infested with bed bugs.
Pay careful attention to me. I asked you some questions.
Yes.
My question was, when was the last time you saw your mother? So you hadn't seen your mother in a decade. When was the last time you saw your mother?
I saw my mother frequently, Your Honor. It was in May, Mother's Day.
Okay, Mother's Day of
2021.
And Your Honor, I did...
Shh, I'm not speaking to you. March of 2021. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
November 2021.
Wait a minute. How could you see her in November 2021 if she passed in August of 2021?
November 2020.
Okay, May 2021, November of 2020. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
I saw her frequently because...
No, not frequently. Month and year.
I don't have the...
Did you see her every month?
No, Your Honor.
Did you see her every 2 months?
About that, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, between May and November, that's more than 2 months. Mm-hmm. That's what you can remember.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her. You're the one who started this, sir. I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother. You started it.
Sean Rubin is accusing his brother, Randall Rubin, of not paying his share of funeral expenses. Randall claims Sean spread multiple lies about him.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her.
Well, that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know if you didn't see your mother in a decade, and she had failing health, I would say, as a child, you were totally disinterested in her.
I did visit my mother after she had kidney replacement or kidney surgery. I visited her after her surgery. We both did.
Just a second. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren, right?
Sure.
10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. If she didn't see me at least once a month, she better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
Well, Your Honor, I'm sure that Sarah is very close to you, where we live out of state.
Just a second.
We both have real jobs.
Just a second. If her father didn't visit me at least once a month, and we live in different states, he too would check the will. So what I'm telling you is, if you don't see your mother for 10 years, you are a disinterested child. You're the one who started this, sir. I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother.
No, oh, absolutely not.
Oh, really? Did your mother have full-time nursing care for the last 10 years? The answer is either yes or no.
It's an absolute
no.
no.
She declined.
That's not what I asked you. Not what she declined. Did she have full-time nursing care? That's a yes or a no?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Okay, so if she didn't have full-time nursing care and she was in poor health because, based upon your blurted-out answer to me, you thought she should have full-time care.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, but she didn't. So he took care of her. You don't like the way he took care of her. That's your prerogative, but you let him take care of her. And you went about your business in your own states where you live, and he took care of her. And you didn't like him, and he may have been a sponge and a bum. You started it. But you were not interested enough in your mother to move next door to her Or to have her move next door to you when she got sick?
Your Honor,
somebody else
I actually did ask her to move in with me, and she declined.
Right. She didn't want to live with you. There had to be a reason for that if she was being abused. Do you just
Your Honor,
understand?
there is.
Unless, do I look like I need help from you?
No, of course not.
Then I want you to be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
You owe him $1,600. That's it, not 26. What he's
I have a
asking you.
counterclaim.
Put it down.
I have a counterclaim.
$1,600, and I'll hear your counterclaim.
Thank you, Your
Which
Honor.
sounds a little ridiculous to me. I'm finished with you. $1,600, that's what you owe, except for the counterclaim, which I'll hear. Well, the counterclaim is that they posted something on the internet that says that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. If that's, just a second, quiet. Your counterclaim says that he defamed you and your business because he wrote on the internet that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. I couldn't make that up. Let me see. Maybe I did
You're
make it up.
correct. That's
Yeah,
exactly what
he
he
posted that
wrote.
there were bugs in the shoes I was selling.
He also put that I impregnate Hispanic women.
Just a second. First of all, that's not in here.
It's right here, ma'am.
It's not in my answer. So I want to see where he wrote. And who knows what you're doing in Mexico? I have no idea what you're doing in Mexico. Show me what he wrote about the bugs in the shoes that you're selling. Giving me a whole lot of nonsense there that I'm not going to read.
It's not.
You
these
give
are,
me.
These are the posts that he put online.
I
These
only
are
want
also-
to.
These are also letters from my mother in her own.
I'm not reading the letters from your mother.
Okay.
I'm reading a post or more where he says there are bugs in the shoes you are selling.
Yes.
Period.
Do you want to hear the audio that he sent to one of my employers?
No, I want to see where he wrote there are bugs in the shoes you are selling, which is what's in my answer.
Right here, ma'am.
May I have it, please?
And I do have a restraining order on him as well.
I'm not interested in your restraining order. Okay, so this has nothing to do with anything. I'm going to give this back to you, and if you don't hand me exactly what I asked for, I'm
It's in the-
dismissing.
it's
I'm
in-
not reading all that drivel. I asked you for one post.
Your Honor, if you'd like to say
I don't
something-
want to hear you.
This is what I wrote.
I
if you want
don't
to see it.
want. This is not your case to prove, sir.
Okay. I'm just trying to be honest.
Here you go, Your Honor. This is one that he
Thank you.
wrote
Don't
to
tell
my
me
employer.
one. Just give me the posts about shoes. This has nothing to do with shoes.
This one is in
Well,
Spanish.
if you show me one more thing that doesn't say bugs and shoes, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Please look at this one. It is in Spanish.
No, that's your problem. The counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. I think she made the right decision.
I wasn't really thrilled.
I'm just kind of glad it's over. I never want to see my brother again.
We're a very estranged bunch of people. We do not like each other.
She didn't raise him right. She raised us right, and we're going to do the right thing on behalf of our mom.
First and foremost, I will visit you every month, every week, every day, if that's what it takes. But in all seriousness, this case shows how foolish it is not to memorialize your wishes for the end, because it creates a heightened sense of stress at a time when emotions are already running high. And first rule of wills, trusts, and estates class is always have a will. So it doesn't matter how much you have, how little you have. It's important, your wishes, and to prevent situations like this, your loved ones having to go through.
And be angry with each other. I mean, they don't love each other anyway, but to be angry with each other, if you can avoid that. Even young people, Sarah, who have put anything together. Yeah. You have a will?
I do.
There you go.
I wouldn't want my loved ones going through that. So, yeah, you have to take the time and write it down. And yeah, that's really all you can do to avoid.
Tanaya Fox is suing her ex-boyfriend, Keontae Williams, for destroying her car after being involved in a shootout.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3019, Fox versus Williams.
Thank you. Welcome. All right, Miss Fox, this used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
From when to when was he your boyfriend?
We started dating in 9th grade, beginning of our freshman year, till we stopped talking right after this accident happened, so about January.
Okay, could we have dates, please?
January in 2023, we stopped talking.
How old are you now?
18.
How old were you when you started dating him?
14.
Okay. Did you ever live together? At your house, at his house? Did you ever live together?
Not technically, but
Not technically. I'm dealing with reality. In reality, did you ever live together?
No.
Did he ever stay at your house? Did you ever stay at his house?
No. But we was together all the time, a lot.
What does that mean?
Like, we didn't live together, but we was always with each other.
Where?
At his house.
Better. Were you together at his house while you were still in high school?
Yes.
Is that your mother?
Yes.
Did you have your mother's permission to stay at his house? Is that right?
Yes.
Great. How old were you when you started staying at his house?
17.
So you were there for a little while before this incident occurred. Now, you had a car. What kind of car?
Malibu.
What year?
2016.
When did you purchase it?
I don't remember the exact date, but the month was in January. Before the accident happened, I only had it for 2 weeks.
Was there a note on the car?
Yes.
Do you have insurance on this car? You had to have insurance on the car.
Yes.
Full coverage.
Yes.
This is what you're claiming. You're claiming that you were at his house and he asked to borrow your car. You said no. Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you said no. So let's move on from there because it's not particularly relevant, but the car was involved in an incident. And you want him to be responsible because you say it was his fault that this incident occurred. He said it's not his fault at all. He borrowed the car. He didn't borrow the car to go and buy or negotiate for drugs at all, but he was just driving somewhere and he got in the crossfire of a shootout and the car was bullet-ridden and destroyed.
Correct.
Now, you're at your house, and this is in January or February?
January.
January what?
21st.
What time? Uncross your arms. What time did you take the car?
Around 8, 9 o'clock.
At night?
Yes.
Before you took the car, where were you? Were you in the kitchen, the bedroom? What room were you in?
In the bedroom.
What was she doing?
In the bedroom with me.
Doing what?
Laying down, watching TV.
Had you had dinner at your mother's house? This is your mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you had dinner at your mother's house?
No.
Where had you had dinner? It's between 8 and 9 o'clock. Everybody's eaten. Even, well, old people eat at 4:30 in the afternoon, but even people your age have finished with dinner by 8, 9 o'clock. Where did you have dinner?
In the house. I don't eat much, so I don't know.
Well, you have to eat. You had nothing to eat?
No.
Nothing. Okay. So now I want you to tell me what inspired you to go out at between 8 and 9 o'clock. Don't look down.
I went out to buy weed for us to smoke.
Okay. Is that where you told her you were going?
Yes.
She say okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right. Where'd you get the money from?
Myself.
From where?
Working.
Okay, so you took the car to go and get some weed for the two of you. Is purchasing marijuana legal where you live?
No, ma'am.
So you have to go to not a dispensary or something where it's legal. You have to go and buy it on the street?
Correct.
How much money were you going to spend on marijuana?
Like $60.
What?
60.
So tell me what happened. So now you're going to find somebody on the street. Did you make arrangements with them before you went?
Yeah.
Did you call somebody and say, I'll meet you, you know, on...
Yeah, I called somebody and I went to go meet up with them.
And you got into the car.
I got into the car. As I'm going to get the weed, I got it.
So you picked it up?
Yes.
And you gave the seller the $60?
Mm-hmm.
Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
As I'm pulling off out of the complex, a shootout broke out. And
what complex?
It's a complex behind the YMCA.
Go ahead.
And I put my head down once I heard the bullets hit the car, and I was driving straight. I hit the curb. The car stopped. It didn't move.
Did you give the guy the money?
Yes.
So it wasn't the guy that you bought from. It was somebody else? You don't know. So you put your head down and crashed the car?
Yes.
What did you crash into?
The sidewalk.
Okay, you have pictures of the car? The car was impounded, I assume.
I do.
I'd like to see it. Oh, it's pretty disastrous. Now, you had full insurance on this car.
Yes.
And you had only had the car 2 weeks.
Yes.
So did they total the car?
The insurance people?
Yeah.
No, I had tried to put in a claim for him to get it fixed, but they denied it. The police totaled it and put it inside the pound.
I didn't understand a word that you said, so keep your voice up and speak slowly.
The police put it inside the pound, but the insurance people, they just denied my claim that I put in for it to get it fixed.
Why?
They said that because the keys was in the engine, that it was technically my fault. Like my fault. I have the denial letter.
I'd like to see it. You know who shot it?
Claims her ex-boyfriend, Keontae Williams, took her car without permission and destroyed it. Keontae is countersuing Tanaya for stealing money from his Cash App account.
Where's the car now?
It's still inside the shop.
No, I actually don't understand this. When was the last time you made a payment on the car? Tell me when the last time is you made a payment on the car.
This month. On
Show me. Did you report the car stolen?
Yes. I have a police report.
I'd like to see it.
I actually think it's with those papers.
Oh, here it is. Just a second. This isn't a report of a steal. First of all, he didn't steal the car. He took the car with your permission. There's no question in my mind that living together, he went out to get you some weed with your permission. It was 8, 9 o'clock at night. There's no way that you said to him, no, you can't take it, and he took it anyway. It just doesn't make sense for a 17-year-old and an 18. That doesn't make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense, it's not true. Who decided to say that the car was stolen and tell that to the police? Who thought that that was a good idea?
Me, because it was. I didn't give him permission. I actually told him to take his mother's truck, and he's told me no.
Okay. Have you driven her car before?
Yes.
How many times?
A lot.
How much? More than 20 times? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So I don't believe you. Now, the problem with you reporting the car stolen is that they didn't find that the car was stolen. They found the keys in the car. They found no evidence of the car being stolen. So they said the car wasn't stolen, the keys in the car. That means somebody had permission. That's still not a reason for an insurance company to deny a claim if you had full coverage on the car. So I would say that you're suing the wrong person. He's not going to pay for the car. He's not paying for the car.
Your Honor, I have evidence that he actually went out to go sell marijuana. He wasn't buying it. I actually have a text message because we know who shot at the car. It's actually his cousin. I text.
Oh, just a second. Do you know who shot at the car?
No.
I have messages of me texting the person and telling them.
I'd like to see it. So you know who shot at the car? Madam, you know who shot at the car, is my question.
Yes.
Then sue them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also have messages of me telling him how much my car is to get repaired, and he's telling me that he's only going to give me what I put down on my car.
Let me explain something to you. I'm not giving anything against him. If you know who caused this accident, who shot your car, which is what you say, so you have to sue him.
I'm suing him because he took it without my permission.
I don't believe, and I'm telling you that I don't believe that. I'm telling you that I don't believe that. So I'm telling you to sue the person who caused the accident. That's what you have to do, not him. I don't believe he didn't have permission. There's no question if you lived at his mother's house with him, he's driven your Chevy Malibu dozens and dozens of times.
And
so I don't believe that he didn't have permission.
He took it out permission more than one time in life.
Sue the person who shot up your car and caused this accident. You say you know who it is.
My car would have never been inside an accident if he didn't take it out my permission.
Do you understand what I just said to you?
Yes, I do.
I said I don't believe you. Sue the person who shot up your car and caused the accident. You know who they are. File a police report against them. How's that? Is the person who shot up a car a regular selling drugs?
Not that I know of.
That person was there the night that you were there, allegedly purchasing drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Is that the person who shot at your car?
I don't know who shot at the car, ma'am.
She knows. Did he tell you who shot at his car?
Yes.
See, I believe that.
No.
You know who shot at the car?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what cousin she's talking about?
Absolutely not.
First name? You know that person? You know that person?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, so your case against him, for that is dismissed. He got a counterclaim, taking money out of her. Did you take money out of his Cash App?
No.
Show me proof she took your money out of Cash App.
Well, I don't have any proof, but she have took over my whole email.
Just a second.
She never gave my email.
Listen a second. I said, show me proof she took money out of your Cash App, is what you said to me. I don't have any proof?
I don't have any proof that she took it out, but I have proof that I gave her money.
I don't care whether you gave her money or not.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. He has a counterclaim that you took $600 out of his Cash App without permission after this incident occurred. He says he has no proof. His counterclaim's dismissed, as is your claim. Now I'm going to do the second half of this case. You sit down over there, you move over there, and you're the mother. You're his mother. You move over here. Perfect.
Sit down.
Call the next case.
Case number 3019, Williams versus Fox.
Yeah. Did you swear, Miss Williams? Kevin?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth in these matters today?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. What you're asking for...
Ella Williams is suing her son's ex-girlfriend, Tanaya Fox, for vandalizing her truck.
Miss Williams, you are the mother of the defendant in the last case, and
Yes,
it is
ma'am.
your claim that the defendant vandalized your 20-year-old truck.
Yes.
First, tell me when you purchased this truck.
I purchased this truck in June of 2020. I had it about 3 years.
Who did you purchase it from?
I actually purchased it from my uncle.
At the time of purchase, you had to register the car?
Yes, ma'am.
How many miles on the car when you registered it?
125,000.
That was 3 years ago.
Yes.
And how much did you pay your uncle for the car?
I gave him $5,000 for the car, the pickup.
You give him $5,000 in cash?
Yes.
And you kept full coverage on the car, is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
It is your claim that she vandalized the car, and I'm going to get to proof that you have that she vandalized your car. According to you, you had full insurance on the car.
Yes.
And the insurance paid you for the damage, totaling the car, according to you.
Yes.
And gave you how much money?
They gave me $9,000.
They gave you $9,000 for a car that you paid $5,000 for.
Yes.
So far, you're ahead of the game, $4,000.
Yes, I was.
And then, according to this, you bought the car back from the insurance company.
Yes.
For how much?
$2,100.
So you're still ahead $2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have your truck back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what you're asking for in your lawsuit against the defendant, if I find that she actually vandalized your car, is $3,879.
Yes.
Are you out of your mind? Are you really? Seriously? Are you out of your mind?
How
you
is that been out of my mind?
Yeah. I just given you the number, so you must be out of your mind, or you think that I am. Okay, so let's just for giggles. Why don't you show me what proof that you have, proof that the defendant vandalized your car?
Well.
Not well. This isn't a well. Show me what proof you didn't see it. You didn't see it.
I did not see it.
Right.
But I know she did it.
I don't care what you know. I don't care what you know. I said proof. This is a proof case. Show me proof that it's your case. Show me proof that the defendant vandalized your car.
I do not have proof, Your Honor.
Well, then you have no case. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
All right. I'm happy with that.
This way.
I came home from my birthday photo shoot, and he asked me to use the car to go sell marijuana, and I told him no, to take his mother's truck.
No, but she gave me her keys. I went to go do that.
But he said that the car didn't have no gas, but I still told him no to lay down. And when I dozed off and went to sleep, I woke up and he was gone.
You hit a gunfire. You hit the bullets hitting the car, and you just hope for the better.
Because he was my boyfriend, he didn't necessarily wouldn't want to put him in jail. Like, I knew he was gonna answer the phone for me, but it's just like, it's the principle of, if I told you no, don't take it. Like, it wasn't that deep to call the police, especially because he's someone that I love and care for. I'm not gonna put him in jail.
My child could have lost his life. We here for some money, but he could have been dead right now.
We're not together.
Oh, it's over and it's gonna stay over.
I was in Chicago, Illinois, and I was with two other friends. And around the time that she said that she called my mom, said it happened, I was gone from Indiana for the day before that happened and the day that it happened.
Yeah, sure she was. That's what they all say.
There were so many pieces of that case that were reminiscent of other things. First of all, Sarah, I'm still not comfortable with the wisdom of a parent letting a 16, 17-year-old go and live with her boyfriend in their house just because they want to.
Yeah.
And, live together. I just think that it's such poor judgment. And I know that that's provincial and maybe not au courant with what's going on in the world. But I just find it not in a forward trajectory of anywhere.
Seems to lead to more problems that we see than solutions.
So than forever.
Than quick engagement.
And forever
Usually
romances.
more problems.
Yeah. And the second thing that I found particularly troubling was that this young man, who I think gave me totally honest answers.
Seemed honest.
Maybe not about selling, maybe instead of buying, he was selling. I'm not sure. But so casually, knowing that it's illegal in the jurisdiction where they live to buy, sell, or possess marijuana. And I'm not getting into that discussion now. There should be a federal standard so you know where you are from one state to another. But he knew it was not legal. And how casually he admitted committing a crime.
I did look it up beforehand, and then when he said it, I just cleared the tab because we didn't need the information anymore once he admitted that he knew it was against the law. It was certain thing. I only looked briefly, but it looks like it's a misdemeanor crime with a fine to possess up to a certain amount in Indiana currently. But yeah, but I mean, so in addition to casually admitting to, a misdemeanor here today, also just the demeanor of the defendant speaking about his car being shot up with him inside of it. It was like, I had oatmeal for breakfast. I was like, that seems like something, it was very casual, very monotone. Like, that would be a huge life event, in your mind, in my mind, in, many people's minds. And it's just unfortunate that it's become so ingrained in what's going on today that it's just like...
Yeah, and I wonder whether that would have happened had the laws been different in Indiana. Don't know. Certainly, his mother knew that her lawsuit was ridiculous. She got paid twice. She made out like a bandit in having...
Still made a profit on
she made a profit on
vehicle.
it. Yeah, right. I don't know how that happens. Anyway, interesting case.
Are you a victim of an assault? Go to... Megan McCarthy and Ryan Fox are suing their former employee, Roberto Encinas, for overpayment of wages, bookkeeping fees, and loss of business income.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 3048, McCarthy fought versus Encinas.
Mr. McCarthy? Miss McCarthy. Do you run the business together? Are you related to each other?
Yes, husband and wife.
Okay. What kind of business do you have?
It's a production design and set construction company. We build sets.
Where is it located?
Van Nuys.
In California?
California, yes.
How long have you owned the business?
About 7 years.
Tell me when you hired Mr. Encinas.
We originally hired him in January of 2022.
To do what?
Welding and fabrication.
Did you have experience in that, Mr.?
Oh, yeah, 25 years.
How much were you paid when you were originally hired?
$39.75 hourly, and promised to be in the union.
$39.75 hourly. Did you get paid once a week?
Once a week, every Wednesday.
By check or cash?
Direct deposit.
Is that correct?
I believe it was $39.50, but yes, the rest is
direct deposit.
Yes.
This is what your case is about. At some point, you determined that you had overpaid Mr. Encinas. When did you discover that you were overpaying Mr. Encinas?
We discovered the error on September 22nd, 2022.
And had you been consistently overpaying him since January?
No, so it's a little bit complicated. We have two companies, one is union, one is not. In April of 22, we hired him with our non-union company to perform a different non-union job, and that is when the error occurred with that company and that payroll company. He was entered into the system incorrectly by my bookkeeper, who's here as our witness today.
Okay, it was still direct deposit.
Correct, yes.
The net that was deposited into his check when he was working in the union shop was how much?
I would estimate $1,800 to $2,000.
Well, don't estimate. That's what we're doing here.
I don't have an exact figure of how much he netted every week. It was different every week on every job.
Because he worked
different amount of hours.
Different hours. So he worked different hours. So the direct deposit was different for each time.
Sure.
So there was really no way, there were no flashing red lights that would say to Mr. Encinas, this pay stub is wrong. You know, this deposit was wrong because it wasn't a consistent amount that went in every Wednesday. It was, according to you, a different amount depending upon how many hours worked. He wasn't given a physical check. Money was put into the bank by a direct deposit. That's what you said.
That's correct.
Okay.
But if I may, it would be anywhere from $1,700 to $2,000. The first overpayment, he netted $4,645. Like, it's quite a jump in pay. Like that was probably should have been
a lot of overtime.
Just
yes, quite a difference.
Quite a difference, but that was going from one job to another, from one company to another, from a union job to a non-union company.
Rate.
Well, whatever. Okay. And so what you're suing for the overage that you paid him.
Yes.
And there came a time when you discussed the overage with him. And what did he say when you told him that he was overpaid? And when did you tell him that he was overpaid?
We told him September, the day we discovered the error, September 22nd, and it was very amicable at first. We apologized for the error. We wanted to work out a payment plan with him, and he agreed. He said, I get it. I would love to do a payment plan, and I believed him because we had a good working relationship.
And did you, in fact, draw up a payment plan that you both signed?
No, I did not.
Okay. Unusual case for me. I really am unfamiliar with the law on overpayment. Sarah, could you look up for me the California law on when an employee is overpaid by an employer? How do they and can they recoup it?
Sure. So it's California Labor Code 221. The statute describes that employers are forbidden from taking back any wages that have already been paid to employees unless there's a stipulation that the employee can agree in writing to the deduction by the employer. So if an employee consents to a set-off or a wage deduction for any reason, including overpayment by an employer, then the employer can make it so long as it does not bring the worker below the minimum wage or the deduction does not impact the worker's final wages. But it has to be in a writing.
Okay, so you don't have a writing.
Well, we have it in email where he did agree to a payment plan. We never formally, I didn't have my attorney draft up a formal agreement, no.
You don't have an agreement, one that he agreed to, but you started taking money out of his pay, correct?
With his knowledge, a small percentage.
Doesn't matter. You started taking money out of his pay when?
He was working for us at the time when we caught the error.
No, in September.
September, the third week of September.
And at that time, how much do you allege that he was overpaid?
$6,595.41.
And what did you start to take out of his pay?
It was $276 that first time.
Where did you come up with that number?
I would have to refer to my bookkeeper, Danny. I don't exactly remember. It says 7 hours, less 7 hours. That wasn't his full paycheck. It was a small percentage of what he was making that week.
You're the bookkeeper?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you stand up for one moment? What is your name?
Danny White.
Mr. White, the first time that you gave Mr. Encinas a direct deposit for less than his pay, how much was the direct deposit for?
I don't have the total amount of what it was for. He would have been making around $1,800, and I took $296.
With his knowledge, we informed him, obviously.
I don't care what you informed him about. You understood what the law is. I'm sure that you must have spoken to an attorney also. Did you not?
I don't believe we did, no.
You should have, because where you live, you can't just take money out of somebody's salary if you overpay them. How many deductions did you make from his pay before he left?
2.
And then he left?
The job ended.
Well, he had been working for you for a while, so the job ended. Did you fire him?
Megan McCarthy and Ryan Fox claim their former employee, Roberto Encinas, is refusing to pay back the wages they overpaid him.
Well, he had been working for you for a while, so the job ended. Did you fire him?
No.
You just said goodbye.
The job was complete. We did the build and we sent it to the client, and then that job was over. So.
Well, I know, but he had been working for you January and February and March, April, May, June, July, August, September, I'm sure on different jobs. Would that be a fair statement? He worked on different jobs. But in September, when this overpayment was noticed, the job was over and so was he.
Correct.
So he didn't leave you. According to what you just told me, he didn't leave you. You said goodbye, the job's over.
Yeah, correct. I had every intention of working with him again. We had a good working relationship. I thought we were going to be able to work out a payment plan and figure it out together.
Okay. Well, sorry, but you can't. Thank you, Mr. White. Okay. You have a whole bunch of reasons why you shouldn't owe them the money. One of them is they were supposed to get you into a union shop, and you didn't, and so that's why you don't owe them money. Bottom line is the statute protects you. But one of the problems that I see when you have a direct deposit, your problem is that according to you, his pay varied every week because sometimes he worked 7 hours, sometimes he worked 15 hours, and so his pay would vary depending upon how much was billed for that week. Well, it depends upon how carefully someone reviews their direct deposit. You know, if you review your direct deposit and you have money coming in to a checking account and going out, you don't watch it that carefully over a relatively short period of time, because it was a relatively short period of time. And the law protects Mr. Encinas from you recouping that money unless he agrees to it, and the agreement has to be in writing. Is that what you just told me the law is in California?
That is the Labor Code 221.
Yeah. I'm not particularly sympathetic with you, Miss McCarthy, because under the circumstances, if you had given him a check, if your bookkeeper handed him a check, and he used to get $2,000, and then all of a sudden he changed jobs and he was getting $4,000, he would say, oh my goodness. But I can understand how you can miss that for a month or two and not notice that in your checking account. And that's why the law is there to protect him. And it does. It protects him from your lawsuit. We're done. Thank you very much. Case is dismissed.
This court is adjourned.
I'm a little disappointed, but very disappointed, actually.
They made a mistake.
I thought that I had done my homework and looked it up, and whatever I read said that he owed me the money back.
Because I did all the hours that they put down on the paperwork.
No, I think it was stealing. After 6 months of him ignoring my phone calls and not replying and saying he was going to make payments and he just wouldn't, yeah, it felt like it was stealing.
I did not get free money.
Yeah, if you're given money that isn't yours, give it back.
The statute is meant to protect the employee from the employers removing money for things like insurance or tax deductions. So that's why there needs to be a signed writing to say I'm opting into insurance, or, you know, I'm going to file my own taxes, all of that minutia that you have to deal with employers. But it does say that if you agree in writing to a deduction as the employee,
as a clawback, that's
okay. But here, as we saw very clearly, there was no signed writing. But the way I read the statute was that had to be in writing in order to protect the employee.
It just looks like it can't be a unilateral determination of how much you're going to take out.
Sure.
Also, I found interesting, and I really believe this because somebody who gets direct deposits from other things, I don't look every week to see whether the direct deposit has been made. I'll call once a month or I'll wait and get my statement. But what she said was, and, you know, math is not our strong suit, she was suing for $6,000. And what she said was he was overpaid by $2,000 a paycheck. which means there were only 3 paychecks that he would have been overpaid, which is really very easy to miss, but very easy to spend. If you look on your phone and you see you have so much money in your bank and you spend it, what are you supposed to do?
But he had a good explanation for why it wasn't that far off from his usual. He had put in extra time on his time cards for overtime and things of that nature. So I agree with you that 3 payments for a little bit more than what you were used to, I don't think would have raised a red flag.
Because he may not have looked.
Sure.
It was interesting because I didn't get from the papers that they let him go.
I didn't either. That came
I
out
thought that he just stopped working from reading the papers because they started to take money out of his check. And then she acknowledged that, well, the job ended.
Yeah.
Well, many jobs that he had ended because they have jobs since January, 8 months.
I picked up on that.
After this one, they let him go.
Follow the rules if you want to get your money back.
Blonsey O'Barron is suing his ex-girlfriend, Sharila Williams, for stolen property and money taken from his bank account.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
Hello, Kevin.
Case 3056, O'Brien versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. O'Barron, you and the defendant were a couple for a while.
Yes.
From when to when?
2021 to 2023.
When in 2023?
October.
Well, we're not there yet. October of 2023 comes up in a few months.
That was 2022, I meant.
Okay, so from 2021 to October
2022.
of 2022.
Yes, my bad.
And you lived together. According to what I've read, you took an apartment and the lease was in both your names?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in what month and year was that lease signed?
In June.
June of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. You are in a wheelchair as a result of being shot.
Right.
When were you shot?
June 23rd.
Of what year?
2022.
Under what circumstances?
It was an altercation with my mother, my kids, and our boyfriend.
Okay, so it was somebody that you knew?
Yes.
And was that person arrested?
No.
Did you know who it was?
Yes, I know who it was.
Is there any reason why that person wasn't arrested who shot you?
I had a gun myself, and then the gun happened to go off. I didn't have an altercation with the person, so it was with somebody else. He was just there, and then he started shooting.
When you moved into the apartment with the defendant, you had not been shot.
No.
So when you were shot, you were hospitalized for a while?
Yes, I was
How long?
actually in the hospital for about 3-4 months.
I'm going to come to you with some dates.
Yes, Your Honor.
You moved into this apartment together in October of 2022?
So we moved in June of 2022.
And he was shot that same month?
Yes, ma'am.
And he spent several months in the hospital?
He spent like 3 months in the hospital, yes, Your Honor.
Your complaint against the defendant is that she used some money because you subsequently became incarcerated.
She didn't use it. She stole it.
She stole. You were living together.
Yes.
I assume sharing expenses.
Right.
And you had a bank account.
Yes.
You were incarcerated.
Yes.
Which means that whatever income you had went into that bank.
Yes, ma'am.
And the two of you, when you were in the apartment, shared expenses, including rent. How did you expect her to pay rent with you incarcerated if she didn't use your money that was going into your bank account, which she had control over?
The rent was already paid for 3 months.
You were incarcerated on what day?
I was in the hospital when the rent was already paid.
Well, you were in the hospital, but then you went to jail.
I went to jail.
Okay, you went to jail from when to when?
October till April.
The lease wasn't up until May. How was she supposed to pay rent?
That's what I'm saying. I paid.
Are you telling me in October you paid October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May?
I paid for 3 months.
Which 3 months?
From October, maybe till December.
Let's say it's true. I assume you can prove to me that you paid the rent for those couple of months. What happened to December, January, February, March, and April? What about those 5 months?
We actually didn't have an agreement for me to pay anything, so
You were both on the lease. You were both fully responsible for the rent.
Right.
And you were paying something towards the rent.
Right.
Well, I'm asking you, how do you expect her to pay the rent? What was the total rent?
The rent was $750 a month, Your Honor.
And prior to going to jail, how much did you contribute towards the rent? Is not an answer.
I wasn't working at the time because my situation, from October, I was being incarcerated, and I applied for disability, and then I was waiting to get approved while I was.
Well, you got disability. That's what you're complaining about, that you took money out of your account. The money that came out of your account to pay some of these bills was from disability.
I wish you would pay some bills with it. That would make me feel a lot better. But she never paid no bills. She just used the money for unnecessary stuff. So.
How do you know that?
Because I have the proof. If she would pay the bills with the money, when I got home, when I get out, I will probably have somewhere to go. When I left the hospital, I had a GoFundMe. I had a little money. I was helping paying bills.
You did a GoFundMe?
Yes, from the hospital, from the months I was in the hospital, so to help me with my medical needs and stuff.
How much did you collect from a GoFundMe page?
$2,800 something.
Do you have an outstanding medical bill?
No, I don't. I actually had Medicaid then at the time.
So that you had no hospital bill. You walked out of the hospital, didn't pay anything.
No, I applied while I was in the hospital.
It doesn't matter. You didn't pay anything, correct?
No.
So what did you do with the $2,800 you got from... Shh.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What did you do with the $2,800 that you got from the GoFundMe page? I'm just curious.
I actually bought a lot of stuff for me to use. When I got out, I needed a lot of stuff.
Okay, you say she took money. Did you take any money out of his account?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
How much did you take out?
I roughly spent maybe $3,000 on bills.
Okay, and what did you spend the $3,000 on?
There was rent, there was food, there were utilities, my car note.
Well, why is he responsible for your car note? Why is he responsible for your food?
Blondie agreed to take care of me because I was not working. I stopped working when he had his incident, his shooting incident. I stopped working to take care of him, to be there for him. And so I had no income coming in. Blondie stated to me that once he received his disability, he was going to take care of me because he had been priorly living with me and not paying any bills.
Is that right, sir?
I was.
That's a simple answer. She said something to me. It sort of makes sense. And all I'm asking you is the statements that she just made to me, are they accurate?
Aaron claims his ex-girlfriend, Sharila Williams, stole his property and wrongfully withdrew money from his bank account. Sharila is countersuing for property damage.
The statements that she just made to me, are they accurate?
Somewhat.
What's not accurate? Were you living with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paying bills when you were living with her? Rent, food, utilities?
Yes.
Were you paying for that?
I actually paid for food. Yeah.
Okay, so you paid for nothing. And then, prior to your becoming incapacitated, was the defendant working?
She actually was working, and then she stopped working.
She was working. What was she doing? You were living together, so you know what she was doing. What was she doing?
She wasn't really taking care of me.
I didn't ask about taking care of you.
She wasn't doing nothing.
I asked, was she working prior to your becoming incapacitated?
Yes.
What kind of work was she doing?
Nursing.
She was a nurse.
Yeah.
Are you still nursing?
Your Honor, I'm a medical office receptionist, so I'm not a nurse, Your Honor.
We should have gotten to know you a little bit better. Okay. And on what date did you leave that job?
I stopped working in July.
You were shot in June.
June, yes.
And then you were in the hospital for a while.
Yes.
And prior to being shot, you were not in a wheelchair.
No.
When you came home, was the defendant at home?
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes? She was on the lease.
After a couple months from being there, she didn't want to be at the house. She was getting...
Was she with you in July?
Yes, ma'am.
Was she with you in August?
Yes.
Okay. What credit card charges do you believe exist that the defendant used your credit card without your permission?
Oh, right here.
This is a checking account statement, sir.
It's the checking account. It wasn't a credit card.
So she never used your credit card without permission?
No, it wasn't in a credit card.
Okay.
It was just checking account.
In January, February, and March of 2023, you were incarcerated.
Yes.
What were you incarcerated for?
It was a warrant that I have
Your Honor, it was a warrant from a violent situation that he incurred with his witness.
Tell me about it.
They had a disturbance at her location, and they arrested him from the house that we shared due to a warrant from his witness.
Okay. And was that because you called the police because you were having an altercation?
I called the police because we were having an altercation, but they arrested him due to an incident between him and his child's mother.
Okay. And when did that occur?
That occurred October 28th.
Now, what items do you say that she took from you without permission?
All my personal belongings, like clothes, shoes, everything.
When
I left with nothing at all, like when I got out.
When you got out of jail?
Yes.
Okay. When you got out of jail, what was the date that you were released from jail?
April 14th.
And where did you go?
I actually slept in the car that night because...
Where did you go the next day?
The next day, my kid's mother helped me find a hotel and pay for it.
And what happened to the apartment that you had been sharing with the defendant?
The week before I got out, me and the defendant, we was actually talking. When I got out, she was gonna release everything to me so we can move on. But
so you could move on?
But we both can move on. So the week before I got out, she started answering the phone from the jail. And then she had a plan to move out, but when she moved...
Well, the lease was up the next month.
I don't think the lease was off yet.
Yeah, the lease was going to be up the next month. It was a year lease.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Well, I'm telling you, it was a year lease. It was going to be up the next month.
Okay. Well, then again, she didn't want me to be there anymore.
Well, you had an altercation with her, did you not?
After my incident, she started there.
Just a second. You had an altercation with her?
We had, yes.
You had the altercation in October.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And as a result of that altercation, another warrant dropped on you from another incident.
Yes.
So I can imagine that she didn't want to be with you anymore because she had called the police on you as a result of the October incident.
No, that wasn't the reason.
Why? What was the reason?
The reason was because I wasn't good enough at the point because of my situation. I was in a wheelchair. She didn't want nothing to do with me at that point anymore.
Okay.
The only reason she actually led me on when the doctor told me I couldn't walk anymore, I told her, you don't have to be there if you don't want to. And even my mom told her that when she seen her outside the hospital, but she kind of feels some type of way about that. And then when I told her after that, she told me, well, your mom tell me the same thing, but I choose to be here because, I love you, this and that. So she led me on, tell me, I'm going to help you. You can come back home with this and that. And then a couple months after the low money I got from the GoFundMe was over, everything I said was an argument, and we started getting into altercation every other day because after the 2 months that I didn't have nothing to basically give her anymore, and being in my situation, it's like she was using that to, take advantage of everything.
What did she take?
She took my clothes, everything that I owned. She took everything that I owned.
Your Honor, I took some of his belongings to an address that he resides at also. I dropped some belongings off over there in Independence, Missouri.
And do you know who lives there?
Yes, his brothers live there.
And what did you bring over there?
I dropped off a couple Tupperware of clothes, Your Honor. I didn't want to bring anything personally to him because I just kind of feared for my life. And so I dropped some belongings off prior to him getting out. And then once he was released out, I kind of took some time to give him some of his rest of his belongings just because I was scared.
How did you give him those belongings after he got out?
I personally handed them to him.
Where?
His address in Independence.
Where his brother also lives?
Yes.
You remember that?
No, I have no idea what she's talking about, Your Honor.
What address is on your driver's license?
Her address, actually.
Okay. Did you call anyone before you went over there with these bags of clothing?
I talked to Blondie and I told him I was going to drop his stuff off. He gave me an address to drop the stuff off.
Can I see that, please? Do you remember that, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, just don't say anything.
Yep.
And she's going to show me.
I actually gave her an address, but nothing ever...
Just a second. So now you're remembering that you gave her...
Yes,
and
I did.
I'd like to see what she has, please. It doesn't say anything. I will give you your belongings. We can move on, but
it's up at the top where I'm asking him for the address.
Address or what?
And he's not sending it, but he did send me an address. I just don't have that with me, Your Honor.
Okay, but I want to tell you something, sir. In this text exchange, she says address or what? And you answer her, enjoy my money while it lasts. You remember that? And then when you got out...
Blonsey O'Barron has accused his ex-girlfriend, Sharila Williams, of stealing property and taking money without his permission. Sharila is countersuing Blonsey for property damage.
I'm now addressing your counterclaim. I want you to tell me what happened on October 28th.
So what happened was I came home to him tearing up different items around the house. He tore up a wardrobe of mine. There were some TV damages done. As I came in the house, we were arguing. We had been arguing.
What were you arguing about?
I no longer wanted to be with him just for the past things that I've experienced with him. I was just done and over the drama, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, the verbal abuse. My kids are witnesses to this. I was just done, Your Honor. I wanted to move on. So I called the police, and then they informed me that they were arresting him on another charge for whatever he had going on with his children's mother.
Now you can stand up. Okay. Tell me your last name.
Moore.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
You and the plaintiff have a child together?
Yes, ma'am.
One child?
Yes, ma'am.
Plaintiff was arrested for an altercation that he had with you.
Right.
When did that happen?
Huh? A couple weeks before he was shot. He had some mail come into my house, and I didn't realize that he had mail delivered. And so he came to my residence, and he was looking for the mail, and I didn't give it to him. And so I asked him to leave a couple of times. He didn't leave, and so then I called the police. And so that's when he had a warrant out for his arrest for basically like disturbance of peace.
Oh, no. That doesn't make sense to me.
He tried to attack her with a crowbar.
Just a second. That doesn't make sense.
Physical.
I've been in this business for much too long, folks, for, I want my mail and I didn't give it to you, so
That
we went to
is what
jail
happened,
for 6
though.
months. That didn't happen, madam.
No,
Ms.
it
Moore.
was that, like, it kind of got put under domestic because he did become, like, violent. He wanted
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, he wanted
Don't
his
give me
mail.
this mail business.
He wanted his mail, so he had a crowbar, basically, approaching my vehicle. And so my nephew went out there and tried to stop it. And so they kind of had a back and forth shoving a thing.
Just a second. So now it's getting more serious.
Yeah.
Were you, sir, arrested with regard to that domestic incident?
Yes.
Was there a trial on that case?
Yes.
What happened with that case?
They dropped it and just give me probation.
No, they didn't drop it.
Yes,
If they
they
gave you
the charges.
Just a second. Listen to me carefully. The justice system does not put people on probation unless there is a conviction for something.
Right.
Now, they may have reduced the charges. Did you have a trial or did you plead guilty?
Plead guilty.
That's a different story. You pled guilty to what charge?
Assault.
On whom?
Her nephew.
Her nephew, not her.
No.
Sit down. Okay. Sit down. I can rely on nothing that you tell me. So you were convicted of assault on her nephew. You were placed on probation.
I was already on probation for something else.
What were you on probation for? For something else?
Probation violation.
Well, you don't go to jail for probation violation unless there's another underlying crime. What was the underlying crime that
Driving.
Driving?
Yes.
No, driving is not a crime, sir. You were never on probation for driving.
Yes, I was.
Well, not in this country.
Okay.
Not in this country. You may be on probation if you have an aggravated DUI. You may be on probation because
Suspended license, ma'am.
Well, because you had no license.
Yes.
Even driving on a suspended license, you don't go to jail unless you had something more serious. Before that,
no, Your Honor.
You seem to have an awful lot of legal problems, sir.
I have.
You have an awful lot of legal problems. You were living with this lady. She took out money. She paid bills. Forget it. You used your GoFundMe page. I don't know what for. Here's a phone. I listened to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim didn't say much. It said he destroyed some things in your house.
Yes, Your Honor. Blondie tore up some TVs that were in the house. I have pictures of.
That was in October.
Almost
a year ago.
Yes, Your Honor.
Almost a year ago. We're almost a year later. If he destroyed some of these items, where have you been about filing a case against him?
So I realized that the police department, they put out a warrant for the damages that occurred October 28th to an iPhone of mine.
Do you have
I have that police report, yes,
I'd like to
Your
see the
Honor.
police report. You cause any damage to things in her residence?
Actually, what happened...
Just a second to see the yes or no.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, the only thing that was reported damaged was an iPhone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Period. And the police reported that it was broken front and back, nothing else. No TVs, no nothing. That's what the police reported. They spoke to you and that's what you said was damaged. Did you damage her iPhone?
No, ma'am.
How did it get damaged?
What happened was the altercation that happened between me and her. She started. I was in the kitchen, and then she was in the bedroom. And then next thing I know, I was opening the fridge. I'm sitting there, and then I got a punch that come behind my head, and then she take off running and went outside, and then called the police.
What did you use to call the police? Is not an answer. What did you use to call the police?
My cell phone, Your Honor.
Yeah. Your counterclaim is dismissed. So is your claim, sir. I suggest you stay far away from each other, and I'm going to tell you one thing. If he has violent propensities, you think twice. Be smart. Goodbye. Both of you. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Blondie freeloaded off of me for a year and a half.
I don't think it was fair enough. I didn't really get my point across.
The final straw is my kids. My kids had endured enough, and it was just time for a change for us.
Forgive her. I guess she needed the money more than I do. I'm not really mad about it. It's okay.
I'm okay with the judge's decision today. I just gonna get my protection order and move on.
You know what was most distressing to me about that case, Sarah? The plaintiff's girlfriend, the mother of his son, was a well-spoken, articulate, together woman with whom he's currently living, despite the fact that he was convicted of a serious assault. He was originally charged with aggravated assault on her nephew. Then you have the defendant, another articulate, seemingly together person who had a responsible job before him. These two women accepting a place where they know they're going to live in fear of somebody that has violent propensities. Yeah. They both know it.
At least with the defendant, after they had that altercation in which she called the police, she left. She said, you know, her testimony today was, that was it for me. But you can't say the same thing for the mother of his child, so it's just unfortunate that she'll have to live with that fear.
I don't know how long.
We'll see.
Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and law clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for law clerk Sarah Rose. Honesty Butler is suing her former friend, Walteria Flowers, for the cost of a car and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. Case 3074, Butlers versus Flowers.
Thank you. Ms. Butler, how long have you and Ms. Flowers been friends?
We became friends around the summer of 2022.
How?
We both lived in South Carolina, and then we both moved to Jacksonville, so it's kind of like we were just friends.
Did you see each other often before you decided that you wanted to buy her car?
Yes, ma'am. She used to come and pick me up all the time, and then I used to see her around the town that we lived in before we moved back to Jacksonville.
You didn't have a car?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a driver's license?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to it?
I wrecked it.
You broke it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you do that?
It was my fault. It was a failure to yield.
Oh, so there was a crash?
Yes, ma'am.
That was your fault?
Yes, ma'am.
On what day did you have a conversation with Miss Flowers about purchasing her car?
It was December 12th.
Of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car was it?
It's a 2010 Chevy Malibu.
When did you purchase it?
It was 2021, March 2021.
And why were you getting rid of it?
Because I had another car and I was getting another car too, so.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $8,000.
Lexi, would you look up a 2010 Chevy Malibu?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 2-door, 4-door, I don't even know how many doors.
4-door.
How many miles did it have on it when you purchased it?
It was 130.
Now, interesting, because a year later, you agreed to sell the defendant that same car for how much?
I agreed to sell it to her for $4,500, but I was selling it as is.
just a second.
Okay.
Go back. We're going to get to as is in a second.
Okay.
That's not the final price you agreed on with her based upon these records.
No, ma'am.
What was the final price you agreed?
It was $4,000.
Is that right?
No, ma'am.
It was $3,500.
Yes, ma'am.
So the ultimate price that you agreed to sell the car for was $3,500.
No, ma'am. It was $4,000.
Show me. Show me 35.
Yes, ma'am.
Private party, fair condition, between $6,000 to $7,800 for fair
6,000 to 78.
$6,000 to $7,800.
Thank you. Okay, well, it was 4,000, but because of things wrong with the car, you said I'll take off $500 from the original price because there were more things wrong with the car than she originally thought. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me, even at $4,000, you got a pretty good deal
Yes, ma'am.
because of what Lexi has told me about the current value of the car, which is the low end, $6,000, and at $3,500, even I would buy that car. It was a great value. This is what your case is about. It is your claim that you made all but $100 worth of the payments
Yes, ma'am.
on the car, and then the defendant, unbeknownst to you, came to your house at night and repossessed the car.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you only owed her $100.
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant says you owed her $7,000, but I think she's relying on the $4,000 figure. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's where the discrepancy is, and you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Part of that had to do with, I gather, the two of you having an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
We fought.
Two of you having an argument. I'll get to that in a second. So you have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
You want the money back that you put into the car.
Well, not actually just what I paid for the car and also the belongings that was in the car.
Okay, let's get rid of the belongings. She did have some stuff in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have it with you?
Yes, ma'am. I have some of it with me, like her debit card and her purse that she had in there.
Okay, and what about the iPad?
She never had an iPad in there.
Okay.
I took a picture of everything.
Okay, Cassandra, would you go over there, please? Take all of that stuff and move it over to the other table. Those cards belong to her?
Oh, this one's my ID.
Okay. So now you want back what you paid for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says you didn't finish paying for it. She had every right to repossess it. Let's take care of the car first.
Yes, ma'am.
How long did you drive the car?
From December of 2022 to May of 2023.
The beginning of December?
No, ma'am. Around the middle, like
All right,
my
so-
first payment was on the 12th.
Okay. When did you repossess the car?
I got it June 4th.
So let's make it January, February, March, April, May. So you had the car 5 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the car now.
Yes, ma'am.
So she owed you really $100 when you took it back. Who paid the insurance on this car?
Everything was still in her name.
So she paid for the insurance. Is that right? Did you have insurance on the car or not?
No, ma'am.
No. Let me understand this. She's driving around with a car that's in your name that doesn't have insurance on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the car now?
It's parked in my yard.
Where's the title to it?
I have it.
I'd like to see it. And you repossessed the car just a few months ago, is that right?
No, ma'am. June 4th. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
Great. Where's the back of this title?
I just sent it as evidence. I don't have the title with me, but that's the title. It's in my name.
Have her sign this. You're signing over the title to the car for her. Sign it over. I'll notify. Sign it over to her. We're going to give you the $100 that she owes you. Sign it over to her. You do understand, Miss Flowers, you came here to court today from where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
And you want to get home, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've got an appearance fee for coming here?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All that's being withheld until you sign the title over to her. Do you understand?
Okay.
Great. Okay. So now you're going to have 5 days to get your car.
Your Honor.
And I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. You got your property back. I'm awarding her on her counterclaim. So far, $100, because that's what you owed her on the car. And it was done a few weeks ago. The car is there. Within 5 days, with a marshal, go and pick up your car. Do you understand? Okay. Within 5 days of today's date, she's coming to pick up the car with a marshal. Don't do anything to the car because you're not getting any cash until she has the car.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Perfect.
Honesty Butler claims her former friend, Walteria Flowers, owes for the cost of a car and stolen property. Walteria is countersuing for the balance of the car and an assault.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. I've already given you the remainder owed on the car, which is $100. But now your counterclaim is about an assault. Tell me when this assault took place.
It took place on June 3rd.
And what date did you retrieve the car, just from my memory?
It was June 4th. Well, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so it was right after this fight?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happened?
Me and her, after, we got into the little argument about the car, I blocked her on everything and I just told her what she owed me. So she proceeds to threaten me, saying she would be at my house in my car, her and her cousin. So me and my...
Can I see what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she tell this to you on the phone or in text?
In text, miss.
I'd like to see the text.
I have a voice recording of her saying it.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that. It's even better. No, I'm deaf. It's even better. Now, is this argument, by the way, while you're looking for it, this argument was about the balance due on the car?
Yes, ma'am. It was something before that, but then it led to the car. I guess it's the service in here. It's having trouble.
You don't have service?
If you don't have service on the phone so I can hear it, I'll look at the text.
Okay. Right here. Okay, yeah, that's...
Thank you. Okay, so before I read these, I gather from the plaintiff there was an incident that preceded June the 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and tell me on what date that incident was.
Okay, June 3rd, we got into this.
Well, I know what happened on June 3rd, but that was about the car.
Oh, no, ma'am. It was earlier that day that we was talking about whatever happened.
Okay, well, why don't you tell me about that?
Okay, so it was something going around on social media about people being behind a fake page or whatever. So I was exposed on a fake page. She was exposed
on a fake
Snapchat or something. It was something like people saying bad stuff about people on the Snapchat. So
you understand that?
No.
Okay, so it was someone
I thought it was a younger thing, and I just didn't understand it. So that's
okay.
Explain it to him.
Okay, someone made Snapchat, right? Okay, someone made a Snapchat that nobody knows like who it belongs to. They posted pictures of me on there saying bad stuff about me. They posted something about her also, and about my baby's father and other people. So Honesty texts one of the girls that they thought it was behind it and told them that it was me. By me and her still being friends, I was lost. Like, why would you text someone that's not even friends with you saying that it was me? So she said, and I have it in the text message, in the evidence, she says that, and if I did say that, y'all shouldn't be behind fake pages anyways, y'all too grown for that, keep me out of that. So I said, to solve all that, just pay me the money you owe me. To make it fair, just pay the money you owe me for the car, and I sign over the title, and we have nothing else to talk about. Then I blocked her. So then she gets on Instagram and texts me and made a voice message about, oh, I don't owe you such and such. I'll be at your house when I get off in your car or whatever to fight. So me and my friends was at this park called Lonnie C. And Honesty came out there and went live, was on Facebook Live, and I have the video. And was saying all kind of stuff on the live about me towards me. And that's when she came up to fight me, at the park.
Your Honor, that is not true.
Yes.
Okay.
I have the evidence.
Did you?
Yes. Rumors were being spread, but...
On the internet?
On the internet. No one knows the source of the rumors. And then there were some allegations that maybe it was the defendant who was the source of the rumors. Right. Says not true. Escalated and then started live streaming a fight.
Right. She gets.
Ooh, okay. You have the live stream?
Okay.
Okay. So we just hit the play.
Yeah. On both of them.
Oh my God.
You can hit that play button right there.
Lie. You're a lying.
I got all the messages, and don't play with me about no $700, because, bitch, I will be at your house when I get off work. Hold on, play with me. I don't owe you no $700, and you know I don't. You better find somebody to play with, bitch.
Works and plays well with others. Isn't that a check-off sign someplace? Okay, tell me what happened when you met with each other.
I was at the park already, me and my friends, the witness.
What were you doing at a park? How old are you?
I'm 21.
What do you do for a living?
I'm in nursing school.
How old are your children?
8 months and 2 years old.
Who do you live with?
It's me and my boyfriend. We got a house.
Boyfriend, the father of these 2 children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were at the park with your friend with your children?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's just me, my friend, and my other friends. They always have stuff at the park, so.
Where were your children?
Well, one was in South Carolina, and the other one was with her grandmother.
Which one was in South Carolina?
My 2-year-old.
Who was in South Carolina?
I'm from South Carolina, so my family is there.
Who was the baby with?
Oh, her godmother.
Why?
Because we just sent her down there occasionally to be with her godparents.
Okay. So you were at the park. You went to the park.
No, ma'am, that is not true. I was with my friends and my cousin, and they had a graduation party. My friends was there. We went there after work. We was at the park first, which I can pull up the video and show you we was at the park first. They came to the park afterwards. I did not hit her first. She walked up to me because in the video, you're gonna hear my friend saying, friend, turn around, turn around. She hit me, and I don't understand how it's assault because as they're breaking up the fight, none of the people I was with
May I
broke up the
see your
fight.
video
Yes,
where
ma'am.
she hit you first? I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Misty Butler has accused her former friend, Walteria Flowers, of taking her car without permission. Walteria is countersuing, claiming Honesty assaulted her after taking the car back.
She's going to show me a video, Miss Flowers.
Yes, ma'am.
And her video, according to her, let me just get this straight, is going to show you hitting her first.
No, ma'am, it's not.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's not going to show her hitting me first, but it's going to show me walking, and my friend is going to be saying, turn around, turn around. When I turned around and basically I dropped my phone, she hit me, and that's when we went to fight.
But that's not going to be on the video.
You're kind of going to see it a little bit.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
A little bit is better than nothing, usually. You have also things that you want me to see on your phone?
Yes.
Would you get them up, please, so I...
Oh, it's up.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am, I can.
Thank you.
I have the fight right here. This sound is right there. I already turned it. The only thing you have to play is the play button.
Okay, while she's looking for us, I'm going to take a look at this.
And here you go.
Her friend, Jasmine James, for totaling her ATV dirt bike during a ride for peace.
Ms. Moore, it is basically your claim that the defendant owes you for a new ATV because she crashed one that she had borrowed from you.
That is correct.
What I gather is you have a group of mostly of women, all women, who ride motorcycles or ATVs together, and the nexus that keeps the group together are women who somehow have lost loved ones or friends to gun violence.
That is correct, too.
When did you start this group?
I started this group October 21st of 2021.
Why?
Because I moved to Cincinnati from Pensacola, Florida. I was married 11 months before I lost my husband due to gun violence. And I had no family in Cincinnati, so I started the group. I searched for ladies in Cincinnati who had been through the same thing, and I wanted to form a sisterhood with those ladies. I had 64 young ladies to come before me, and out that 64, 10 of them were true sisters.
And tell me what you did with this group of 10 women.
Well, I entered them in a lot of events in Cincinnati.
What kind of events?
Women empowerment parades, parades for kids to inspire them as well. They would like us to come and speak. We were in the Cincinnati Reds parade. I mean, anywhere we went, we encouraged a lot of women and young ladies.
When did Miss James join your group?
She joined my group October 15th of 2021.
As background, Miss James, can you tell me why you joined the group?
So, me and all the ladies bonded on having lost family members to gun violence.
Did you have such a loss?
Yeah. it was a loss for the family. So it was something new to me.
And when you joined the plaintiff for these rides and parades, were you using your own vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, and some of them, but mine was damaged. So Miss Dorothy, she allowed me to borrow hers.
Was that the ATV that we're talking about here today?
Yes, ma'am.
So on what date did you borrow the ATV?
August 16th. That was our Ride for Peace.
How many women were involved?
Maybe 6 or 7 of us.
And you were riding through various communities? Did you have a sign? Did you have something identifying what you were doing?
We had bandanas, and we wore all the same colors.
Do you have any photographs for me to look at?
Several photos
I would like
of
to
the
see
group. I have the very first, second photo is a picture of me actually and Jazz together, and pictures of the group.
I don't see anything here that talks about gun violence in these pictures, by the way. DGRYDERS. What does that mean?
Dirty Girl Riders.
Dirty Girl Riders. Yeah, this doesn't say anything to me about gun violence. If I saw this group of women riding around in black leather in very exposed costumes without any identifying T-shirts, Mothers Against Gun Violence, something, I would think that it was just a bunch of bikers in leather. This looks like it's some sort of a heavy metal rock concert. Were you drinking?
Claims her former friend, Jasmine James, drove her ATV dirt bike while drinking and crashed it into a pole.
Now, August 16th, you were riding her son's new ATV. Tell me what you observed, Miss Moore.
On that day, on August the 16th, we were riding down Reading Road. If I could come up and
Absolutely.
We were riding down Reading Road. We were coming southbound, so we were right here in this lane. And we was riding in a signal fine line coming down this way. And we were crossing over to go here. And Miss James was like I think the 4th or 5th person. I was in front. I led the pack. Miss James, she was the 3rd person and she was coming. There's a turning lane right here to go on to Paddock. Miss James wasn't in the turning lane. She was in the lane where we were.
That's not
She
true.
She did an illegal turn and went this way and lost control of the bike and bang and hit the pole. On that day, I observed Miss James not acting like herself. She was driving on the side of me, jumping in front of me. One thing in the bike world, you don't jump on the side of a 3-wheeler. They ride signified line. Only 2 pair can ride together is 2 2-wheelers. We later found out Miss James had been drinking, so that explains why she was not acting like herself. We didn't find that out till after the accident.
That's not
How did you find that out, Miss Moore?
When Miss James hit the pole, she hit the impact so hard that everything she had on her shattered. So it was like 6 or 7 liquor bottles fell out her shirt. Her shoe went one way, and other stuff that she had.
What kind of liquor bottles?
Like small liquor bottles, like, you know, the party liquor bottles, you can buy them like for $1 in the store.
Mm-hmm.
They came out of her shirt. And
did you see that?
Yes. When she fell, she landed back and she paused for a moment. We all thought she was dead. We all started hollering and crying because we thought we had lost her. She didn't say anything. You know, we thought she was dead. And so we all ran up to her. And when we ran up to her, her whole leg was split open. And we was study seeing Jazz. And she was still like this. That's when my other sister walked up to me and she said, look. And we looking at the liquor bottles all over the place. And so she quickly gathered them before we called the police.
Did you have insurance on the bike that you were riding?
I had full coverage on my bike, and I had liability coverage on the bike that Jazz was riding.
Why only liability coverage?
Because that's all that they offered me on that bike.
Oh, because your son was riding it.
Yeah, it was.
How old is your son?
19 years old.
Okay, so they gave you liability, but not collision.
Correct.
Okay, your version of the events is somewhat different from hers, and I gather from what the plaintiff is saying and from your answer that you were seriously injured that day and was hospitalized.
I was.
Okay. Now, I'd like you can go up to the board and tell me your version of how this unfortunate accident occurred.
We were coming down Reading Road. Me and Miss Dorothy were in the turning lane. Miss Dorothy actually jumped in front of me.
That's not true.
And took a right without a turning signal. And it startled me, and I lost control and crashed. But we were here. I was in the right lane, and Dorothy was in the left lane.
Okay, it's clear that this ATV was destroyed. And when had you purchased it?
I purchased the ATV on April 21st, 2022.
How much?
$2,279.
Okay, now, when you were hospitalized, and since you tell me that this accident was caused by her negligence, did you contact a lawyer?
No, I did not.
Why not?
That was my sister, so I didn't expect to be sued.
Were you drinking that day?
No, ma'am.
What were the little liquor bottles that she was talking about?
I had possession of them, but I hadn't been drinking that day.
What were you doing with them on the ride?
They were in my purse.
What for?
I planned to later on, but I would have been in trouble if I had been drinking, if liquor bottles was on the scene and they flew all over the place.
Well, you would have been in trouble unless someone picked them up before the police arrived, which is what they did. Okay.
That's not true.
All right. Anything else?
I have a text message where Miss James texted me and stated that she was going to pay me back. And
I'd like to see it.
And also, when they put her in the ambulance, she said, "Prez, don't worry about it. I'm going to pay you back for your bike. I'm going to pay you back for your bike," before they rode off with her. It's the
Can
top
I see them,
paragraph.
Judge?
Just a second.
Top paragraph.
Well, you talk about paying her back for her bike, which you fully intend to do.
I do, but I still think that maybe we should have gone and she caused the crash.
Okay. 2279, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I figured it would go that way.
Justice Porville, she was up there not telling the truth, and the judge saw right through it.
That's just the type of person she is. She wanted to be in front.
No, I am the president. I am the front of the pack.
I do remember the impact. Slow motion.
I thought she was dead. We all thought she was dead.
It'll be a while before I get on any wheels at all.
Look twice to save a life all day long.
So one thing that was in the complaint that we didn't quite get to that I was interested in was the plaintiff says in her complaint that she made it clear to all of the women in the group that if they were to use her machines, her ATVs, her bikes, that they were responsible for both keeping gas in the tank, a full tank, and the liability on the bike. So my question going over that was, how did you make that clear exactly? I think what she meant was a strict liability. You're trying to say that anything that happens when you're riding my bike, I made clear to them that that was on them, their liability. And unless she had some writing that was signed by the members of this group, I'm not sure that you can impose liability in that way.
Well, it's one-sided. You're absolutely right.
I think the right thing.
Some sort of a writing. So that you know that there's a meeting of the minds with regard to your responsibility if you're taking on the responsibility.
Especially in an organized group like this, it wouldn't seem so far-fetched to have a writing saying, I'm the president of this group, I have a few extra bikes, but before you can ride them, I just need you to sign this saying that if you damage it or return it with no gas, I'm not responsible for that.
Yeah, like you do when you rent a car.
Exactly.
You can either accept it or reject it. But
they can't impose it on you one-sided.
Right.
Understood.
You're right.
Bailiff Cassandra Britt is standing in for Bailiff Kevin Roscoe, and Law Clerk Alexi Mincer is sitting in for Law Clerk Sarah Rose. Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Uloa are suing their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, for the cost of a T-shirt order.
Order in the court. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 3072, Kamchan Ulola versus Garcia.
Thank you. Who is Mr. Kamchan? You were starting up a business, T-shirt business.
Correct.
The defendant was also in business. He makes shirts. I assume you were having them made to sell them either online or at events.
Correct.
You don't have a store, is that right?
Online store.
Online. What's the name of your company?
Risen Athletics.
Reason?
Risen.
Risen. Spell it.
RIZIN space athletics.
And where are they incorporated?
Ceres, California.
In the state of California?
In the state of California.
And it's a corporation. You have a license. You've incorporated it.
Correct.
Here.
There's a website, about 9 items of clothing.
May I see it, please? Sure. Make it go. Could you go back to, okay, I just want to see where they order them from. Great. And what's the name of your company, sir?
MFP Studios.
MFP Studios.
Correct.
Where are you located?
Los Angeles.
How long have you been in business, Mr. Kamchan?
About a year and a half.
Did you make any money the first year you were in business?
Yes.
How much?
Approximately 10,000, a little over.
Nice. In that first year, did you get any merchandise from Mr. Garcia?
We did.
So you made some money from the merchandise?
Not from his clothing, actually.
Not from his. What other company do you deal with?
We did wholesaling through Champion, the website.
Champion is a wholesaler? I thought they were a retailer.
So they have a website where you can wholesale and buy a bunch of garments that they allow you to reprint on and sell. So that's what we did originally.
I found an Instagram page for MFP Studios. The website is coming soon.
I have the website currently closed right now.
Currently closed.
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah, our website opens and closes like periodically. So right now it's actually closed. But if you would like, I can go and open it for you guys so you guys can take a look at it.
I want to know why it closes, Mr. Garcia. What does that mean?
So usually the way that my company works is that we do custom manufacturing for specific brands. So it's very customized. But at times I do produce blanks on my own where I'll put on my website. Currently we don't have any, so my website is closed until we produce them and then we post them on our website. I don't know if that makes sense.
Doesn't make sense. How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? How much money
did the T-shirts?
How much money did the plaintiffs send you to produce T-shirts for them? And I'd like to see the order.
Okay.
Can I see all the papers?
Would be the invoices for the T-shirts.
Thank you. Did they pay all of these invoices?
Yes.
Lex, would you add up these invoices for me, please? How many T-shirts were they supposed to have?
Total should have been approximately 320.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
How many did they receive? That's what this case is about.
Correct. They should have received at least 180.
So about half.
Correct.
It's not true.
Just a second.
Okay.
And you got paid.
Correct.
Well, at least for that number of shirts, they get their money back, right? Duh. For the number of T-shirts that you didn't send them, they get their money back.
Well, there was a couple other things that were taking into place, so that's
like
kind of
what?
the issue. So there was a lot of changes that were being made.
Hold on a second, Lexi.
7996.
7996 is the total of all those invoices. Great. All I'm saying to you, Mr. Garcia, this is the case that we hear about. They're complaining that they got some T-shirts, but they were not what they ordered. You acknowledge that they didn't get half the T-shirts at all, and you didn't make them, and your website is now offline.
Well, that happens like every...
I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I don't care. I don't know any other company that takes their website offline. I mean, I don't understand that.
I could give you a list of a couple.
I don't want you to give me a list of any. I want you to tell me why they're not entitled to at least half their money back.
So like I was stating, there was a bunch of other changes. So them not being happy with the garments that they received, that at the end of the day, I can't control. That is what they've ordered. I sent them pictures. I'm
talking about the ones that they didn't receive, sir, not the ones that they did.
Okay.
They were not happy, which they will tell me about the half that they received. You acknowledge that you didn't send them half of the ones that they ordered.
Correct.
Well, why should they pay for those? That's what I'm asking you to answer.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm trying to explain. So
try to explain it to me so that Alexei understands it. He's much smarter than I am.
So when it comes down to custom manufacturing, there's a lot of other components that come into place. There were a lot of changing designs. There was a lot of remaking of screens for us to get the design onto the T-shirt that we had to do, that took up our time, that took up our money, that we didn't charge him for. So that's kind of where everything in terms of like the money goes to. is what we're saying. It's like, okay, if you're going to be making all these changes and then you're not happy with it, if you can see, I have pictures of me sending them a print of the T-shirt and them saying, oh, the print looks different. At the end of the day, we don't work on the designs. We don't change their designs. Whatever they send us is what we put on the T-shirt. If it doesn't come right on the T-shirt, that is not our fault. We don't make the design.
That sounds like a yada, yada, yada.
Claim their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, did not properly fulfill their T-shirt order and owes them a refund.
Let me see if I can give you the Reader's Digest of what he was saying and tell me if that's what you understood. Would you do that for me? They ordered 320 T-shirts. For all intents and purposes, and because of our easy math, he sent them half. They paid for 320. What he's saying is because they kept making changes, they spent more time on the half that they got, so they didn't feel that they had to send them the other half. Is that what you're getting?
Yes.
That's a duh. Do you understand? That's a duh. You know, I'm trying to think of an analogous situation for you. I'm a dentist's daughter, and I know that sometimes in my father's business, somebody would come in and he'd look at a tooth and he'd say, you know what? It's a simple filling, you know, and I'm going to charge so much. And then he started to work. Patient said, okay, you know, that's a reasonable figure. And he started to work. And all of a sudden he found, well, there was a little something else in there that he really had to do in order to do what he said he could do for 20 bucks. Mm-hmm. And so it took him more time. You think he charged the patient for that? No, he didn't. So you at least owe them half of what they sent you. They sent you $8,000. Let's make it nice and easy because I'm an easy girl. And you didn't send them half the T-shirts. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to talk about the T-shirts that you did send them. Because are we finished with the ones that you didn't?
Yep.
Yep. Now we're going to go to the ones that they did send. And you have to show me why they were unsatisfactory. Pick it up.
Perfect. So this is the sample that we received from him. So like the way samples work is he'll send us the clothing, we'll A-OK it. So we A-OK this. This is a large, by the way. Everything's perfect, everything's great.
Okay, good.
So let me show you the XL and the small.
So this right here I'm holding is an XL. The difference. And you want to see another thing?
Smaller.
This is what I'm holding is a small. We ordered 4 small sizes, small, medium, large, and XL.
Hold on, can I see the smalls?
Yeah.
Can I see?
So sorry, so sorry. Here you go.
No. Well, this could be a small, a big small, but small. Can I see the extra small, please?
Extra large.
Extra large?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same exact size.
They're the same size. The small and the extra large, if you hold them up together, they're exactly the same size.
Lexi, hold these up together, would you please? Let me see. He said they're the same size. I don't think so. Could I? One certainly looked bigger to me, but not a small and an extra large. Okay, now this is what I'd like you to do, Cassandra. I want you to send these over to the defendant, and I'd like him to explain to me why these are the same size. One is labeled small, one is labeled extra large. This has nothing to do with a change of design. This has to do with almost math, which, as we all know, is not my strong suit. Okay, so now give me an explanation, sir. This has nothing to do with changing of the design. That has to do with 2 T-shirts that are exactly the same. One says small, one says extra large. Explain it.
This is a very simple fix, so there was just an issue with the tag in the labeling.
Just a second. That's what you sent them.
Yeah, that's
Just a
exactly
second.
my explanation. No, well, this is for the actual garment. What I was referring to was the print on the design.
No, I'm talking about the actual garment. Did you
Correct.
send that to them?
I did send
Just
it
a second. You sent that to them with the label that was mislabeled.
Correct.
Okay. How many of the mislabeled T-shirts did you send them?
It's a very common mistake in manufacturing. I'm not sure. They didn't give me a number of how many were mixed up.
How many?
Exactly 73.
You see, what the problem, Mr. Garcia, is They can't sell those online because if somebody calls and orders a small and they send them a small, it's an extra large. Or if somebody calls and orders an extra large and they get it and it's got a small.
And that could be easily fixed by just changing
Who
the tag.
cares? You know, my face can be easily fixed.
Both.
Not so easily anymore.
These are all just fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, they can all be fixed.
Yeah.
When it happens, it doesn't always like have to be sent.
Yada, 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 yada. Okay, so half you didn't send them and 73 you sent them wrong. Of the other half, 73 you sent
Labeled
them wrong.
Correct.
You sent them wrong that they can't resell as you sent them online. I mean, they could send them to a pop-up store and sell them for nothing.
Or
and say, you know, you try it on and see whether it fits you, but you can't sell them online. Otherwise, their business would be destroyed. Okay, what about the rest? Now we're finished with the sizes.
He has claimed to sent us over 180 shirts. That's incorrect. He sent us 123 exactly.
Do you have any proof that you sent them 180 shirts?
I had them in text messages, but I don't have that phone. But I mean, I'm sure that
everybody that has no case has no phone.
I mean, I have
Mr. Garcia. Everybody that has no proof,
pictures, yes,
everyone then show it to me that you sent them 180 shirts.
Well, I don't have all 180 in the picture. I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to count them, but.
You want me to count them? You're in business. Mr. Garcia.
You want to show her?
No, you're in business, sir. That's not the way you run a business. 120 they sent, and of the 120, how many were you able to sell?
Out of the 120?
Just a second. And out of the 120, does that include the 73 that were wrong size?
Yeah.
Oh, that includes.
So
the
we're
73.
left with only 50 that weren't labeled incorrectly.
How many shirts did he send you that you were able to sell?
0. We sold none of his shirts.
Because they were mislabeled or you didn't
Mislabeled
get
or
them?
misprinted and didn't get them.
Great. Do you have any text messages between the two of you?
So many.
Anything in specific?
I'd like you to show me one where you say to him, we cannot sell these shirts, they're the wrong size.
We'll show you the demand letter. So we sent him a demand letter, hoping that he'd still try to solve it outside of court, but he never replied to it and just never sent us anything.
It'd be us telling him that the items received were not as promised, and the other side would be the lawsuit issue.
Okay. You say in this demand letter that you are requesting, first of all, he doesn't communicate with you when you send him information back and forth. So you say, sir, since you do not wish to communicate us, here's an official demand letter.
Yes.
You say that you paid him $15,986.
Correct.
Well, that's not what your lawsuit is here.
Isaiah Kamchan and Brandon Uloa have accused their former supplier, Manuel Garcia, of owing them a refund after sending the wrong T-shirts.
Okay, did he send you any T-shirts?
No T-shirts.
So how much did you pay him?
All in all, minus the setup fees that we're also suing for, it is exactly...
No.
Oh, sorry.
I want to know where the $15,986 comes from.
So in this order, we did order 320 pairs of shirts, but we also ordered 240 pairs of shorts that we're not suing for.
Why?
He fulfilled that.
He fulfilled the short section.
He filled the short
Yeah,
section.
fulfilled the shorts.
Is that what's on your website for sale?
Yes.
Yes.
The shorts.
The shorts.
The shorts. So it's just the
shirts.
T-shirts.
Shirts.
So you did fulfill the order for the shorts.
Correct.
Do you have a pair of those shorts for me to see? I would just like to take a look at them.
No.
We did not because we weren't aware. We weren't suing for those.
No, I understand that. Did he get the shorts with the same screening as on those, or are they different?
Different screen.
Different design.
So different setup fees, different screens. We paid for that. We're not suing for that portion.
We have
Just
invoices for them, though.
Can I see it?
Yeah. Shorts.
Of course, there were shorts on their website, right?
It might be in there.
Are they blue?
Right there.
Yeah,
Blue,
they're
red,
blue,
and black.
red, and black.
Blue, red, and black. And they just have a little design on
Yeah,
it.
correct.
These are
Okay.
all invoices, but if you want to show a specific...
And they were okay?
They're going to be
Yeah, they're
here.
okay.
Okay. Well, they're on your website, so you're selling them.
Yeah, so that's going to be shorts for prints, and we also...
The T-shirts are not on their website, correct?
There are some.
Can I see?
There are 2. One T-shirt.
Yeah,
here,
that's not it.
One T-shirt down.
And that's not it. Okay. So those Those are not on the website.
And,
Got it.
And one other, but that's also
That's
not it.
not it. That's certainly not those T-shirts, not the same screen.
Something missing in there is the invoice for the shorts material. We are suing for the screens in that. That's the only reason that invoice is here. Because he charged us for owning of screens and films that he told us we had to pay for that we owned and we never received as well.
Screens and
Yeah, so when...
Tell me, explain that to me.
So when making clothing, you pay for garments and then you have to pay for screens and film. So screens is like these big metal square frames and then you put a
Did
film
you pay for those?
Yes. We did, which are in those invoices. The only invoice we're missing is our shorts.
Did you receive those screens?
Well, I made them, so yeah, I had them.
Did you charge them?
Yes, I did charge them for them.
And where are they?
Well, we don't turn in the screen, so so the way that screen printing works is that when you burn screens, you hold them for only 2 months. You don't store them for months and months on end. So after 2 months, if they're not being used, if we're not printing with them, we recycle them.
Mm-hmm.
The films is just a piece of paper that I do have handy. So
he told us that we own them and we could receive them whenever we want them for future references. So that's why we had asked for the.
So you destroy them?
Correct.
Okay. So there we get to the $9,000. Actually, $9,100. Are you, Mr. Garcia? Is your company incorporated in California? I forgot the answer to that question. Is not an answer.
No, I'm self-employed.
You're self-employed.
Sorry.
You have a company, you said.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a company, then you have to be incorporated.
Well, I have like an LLC. Is that what you're referring to?
Or an LLC. Do you have an LLC?
I do have an LLC, yes.
Do you have what's the name of it?
MFP Studios.
Do you find that registered in the state of California? Is it registered, sir?
It shouldn't, yeah, but it probably won't be under that name. It would be under All Hills.
Under what?
All Hills.
So a different name.
I have the paperwork. I don't know. Doing business as MFP Studios.
Why?
That's just the way that I was set up. So when I got an LLC, it was through one of my business partners at first. So then he just gave me
How many business partners do you have?
I just have one.
Who is
well, he's
that?
not even a business partner. He just gave me the LLC so I could use it.
Great.
Yeah.
We're finished here. You haven't used his services. I can't say company. You haven't used his services since
No.
2022.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $9,100. We're finished.
Thank you, Your
Case
Honor.
is now
Thank you.
closed. Court is adjourned.
She sided with them, and I just got to keep doing my business and just keep going, man.
I like that she was able to see that he was clearly taking advantage of us, so I'm happy she saw the same thing we saw.
It's just something that happens in this business. It happens more often than you think. Overseas, there's a bunch of cases. I don't know if she's familiar with the business, or I'm not sure. I know that it happens often. It was an easy fix. They could have still sold the shirts, but I just think they just didn't want to do it.
Why would he bother sending these knowing we never agreed on it?
If you've really been in the business, there's ways to do it where you can still sell it and make your money back to where you have a good relationship with your manufacturer.
Never tried working with us. Like, he would barely even respond. Like, he actually stopped even communicating with me because I threatened to sue him once, so then he started communicating with him.
But if, you come and you're just, I want a full refund, it's going to be very hard to even fix the issue versus just, it's more of a fix the issue thing than get everything done all over again.
But we tried our best for a whole year and nothing was happening, so that's when we're like, you know what? We can't let somebody walk all over us like this because it's our company. It's going to be detrimental if we wait even longer because it was past a year. So that's when we decided to sue him.
The constant changes, they weren't comprehending with my time schedules in terms of how I did things, and it didn't work out. They're also a long distance client. My clients usually come into my warehouse. We're more hands-on, so I don't think it's a good fit.
Definitely take baby steps, live and learn. You're gonna fall a little bit. It's just how you get back up.
A big lesson learned, for sure.
Rise to the occasion. That's what we always say. We'll be back better than ever.
My biggest takeaway was the power of credibility. Those plaintiffs came in, they knew exactly how much they paid for each item, they knew exactly what they received, and they had receipts to back it up. And when you have your day in court, it's important you have your arms fully around your own case.
Yeah.